those who are waiting on trolleys. A Fianna Fáil spokesperson on health, James Brown, says the system is hiding the real facts.
Other people sleeping on floors, it's totally unacceptable. It's going into a very, very serious situation, but those numbers need to be included in the figures put together by the HSE.
That's it for now. All news updates are on our website. That's newstalk.com.
Newstalk weather.
Thanks to the AA, you can find our lowest car insurance price online, guaranteed.
There's a yellow rainfall warning for County Louth until 6 this evening. Elsewhere, scattered outbreaks of rain, some heavy across the north and east of Leinster, drier through inland areas with top temperatures of 6 to 10 degrees. Now you're up to date on Newstalk.
Off the ball. This is Newstalk.
You're welcome along. It is Saturday football on Off the Ball. Dan McDonnell, Johnny Ward in studio. Alongside myself, we'll have Stephen Kelly on the line as well. How are we, lads?
Oh, very good, Nathan.
Oh, that's a real positivity.
Yeah, it's really positive. I think we're going to have a good afternoon.
Do you?
No.
What makes you think that?
Last week was very good with Neil. So
well, you keep saying this.
You're under a bit of pressure.
I thought we might start off on better footing than on Thursday night, where you just abused me, basically.
I didn't abuse you. I just
a good hour.
I just said it's like, I mean, you've got to the top of the mountain now with your award, so you have to strive for. You got to strive for.
There's only one way you can go from the top of the mountain. That's down.
Down. I was just saying it was a good crack.
I get to the top of the mountain.
I just commented that I quite enjoyed last week, and Nathan took that as an affront to his character.
Well, can you let me know what were the enjoyable aspects so I can?
You've not been here, really.
Just the general flow of things, you know, the marshalling of it.
Also, the fact that we turned it into an entire FAI Cup final preview as well.
Was racing cancelled or something that Johnny was able to give us his full concentration for?
No, racing. He was still watching the racing. He's got his laptop here today. People on social might have noticed. He's not at that for football.
Fantastic
purposes.
weekend in racing. So real national hunt is back, and the nice cold weather as well.
Yeah, but national hunt is back. A lot of good races are on like early in the day. So by the time you get round to like checking what the story is, you've missed like 3 or 4 races. As I found out earlier.
Jimmy has been in touch on text. I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Brendan Rodgers, Arsenal, Leicester. If you had your choice, would you stick with Leicester or take the Arsenal job? And I was suggesting that maybe overall Arsenal have a slightly better squad than Leicester. Jimmy says that is frankly ridiculous, Nathan. With the exception of the aforementioned Arsenal strikers, I mentioned Aubameyang and Lacazette, Leicester have better players in every other position. Maddison, Ndidi, Tielemans, the back four would all walk into the current Arsenal side.
He'd still go to Arsenal though.
Do you think if Leicester do what Leicester have been doing this season and Arsenal get a player sent off after 20 minutes and they win this game 4-0, Unai Emery gets sacked and they approach Brendan Rodgers, do you think he would jump ship this week, this international break, and take the Arsenal job?
I think you would.
Do you?
I think that's a good question. I think if there is any loyalty left in football, I think he's in the middle of a project with them, and it would be horrible timing because it's working at Leicester. Like, it's going very well. I think at the moment Leicester are probably more likely to finish ahead of Arsenal than the other way around.
You'd take it. I think you'd take
think
it.
he would?
He left Celtic when they're on course for 10 in a row.
No, but the Celtic thing, I would defend him on that. And
I don't have an issue with him doing it.
This one is a bit different.
I can understand why he did it. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about Michael O'Neill across the thing. Like, you get an opportunity and you take it. And I'm not like, I mean, Leicester there's certainly a club going places, and this is a hugely hypothetical scenario. But I'm sure Brendan Rodgers, after leaving Liverpool, wondered if he would ever get back to, a genuine big gun. A sort of a top 4, top 6 club. And if he got the chance to do it, I mean, unless he'd just be sitting and waiting to see what would happen with some other jobs, because obviously there could be other jobs coming up in the next while.
So the only other jobs really that are bigger than the Arsenal job would be the Manchester United job.
Well, actually, now, which would you prefer now? This is just, I mean, this is situations that we're never going to be faced.
This is stuff that was really good last week. Which would you prefer?
No, it was just truth or dare and stuff like that last week. Spurs or Arsenal?
Oh, great question.
Would you wait for Spurs?
Great question. Oh. You see, I guess the advantage Brendan Rodgers is he's on the inside and he can have good, honest, open discussions if these opportunities present themselves. So what we're talking about with Leicester, like one of the things that I mentioned earlier is, like, Arsenal obviously are traditionally a bigger club, but Leicester have won the league title more recently, and we still struggle to get our heads around Leicester being anything other than a mid-table side who have the odd freakish season. But the conversations he might be having with Leicester are, you know what, we're going to spend 100 million next summer and 100 million the summer after that, and we very much see ourselves as kicking on and being a regular top 6 at least, pushing into top 4 on a regular basis. And you could talk to Arsenal and you could talk to Spurs who say, well, you'll get 50, 60 million a year, but we're kind of going a different direction. Like the Tottenham job, I would say, is a better job right now than the Arsenal job.
It's also the stadium that you're playing in.
If Harry Kane, you can guarantee that Harry Kane is going to stay.
I think it's probably a better job at the moment. The stadium, there's actually some of the players that have to leave. The new manager would have a rebuild opportunity that could be quite attractive.
4 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Burnley against West Ham, Newcastle against Bournemouth, Spurs are at home against Sheffield United, and there's been a goal at St Mary's. It is Southampton against Everton. Alan Lewis.
Southampton 0, Everton 1, and the home struggles continue for Southampton. A corner from the far side was flicked on by Mason Holgate, and there was Tom Davies at the far post to head in from close range. Southampton 0, Everton 1.
Yeah, that's good news for Marco Silva, particularly with Tom Davies scoring the goal, because he would very much be seen as the man to come in and replace Andre Gomez as the season develops. Stephen Kelly is also on the line, as always, on a Saturday afternoon. How are you keeping, Stephen? He hung up because he was just outraged that we could compare the Arsenal job.
Can you hear me, guys?
Oh, there he is.
There he is. He'd fancy his first job.
Stephen, what are you going to take? The Arsenal job or the Tottenham job? Or stay at Leicester?
I think I know what job I'd take, but I think I'm a bit biased when it comes to the North London derby. But no, I think if you're going for clubs at the moment, you'd pick Tottenham over, because just look at their squad and the stadium and the way the club has been going. Champions League finals last year, that's the way you would think you go. But who knows with Arsenal at the moment? Who knows what they're thinking or what their plan is for progression? It's all up in the air, and I think Emery again, he's up in the air. So but I think all in all, Tottenham will be a job that most managers will probably take ahead of Arsenal at the moment.
Leicester's current squad and the amount of talent that they do have there, from a back four with the likes of Johnny Evans, who you put your house on, solid, consistent performer, Ben Chilwell, who feels, again, maybe looking at it wrong, that he can go on and play for one of the top 4 clubs. And then into the attacking talent, which is right up there with the best in the Premier League. Like, when you talk of a team like Manchester United, every one of Leicester's front 6 would walk into that Manchester United team right now.
Absolutely, they'd walk in. But this is the thing that the problem with Leicester is. So we're talking about the manager leaving. So if those players were given an opportunity to jump ship, would they jump ship? Because they see Leicester as a big club at the moment, and the answer is probably yes. Maguire did in the summer, went to Manchester United, even though Manchester are lagging behind Leicester currently, and he would have been probably given all the assurances that, listen, we're looking to push forward, we have a new manager. But it's these players would not have it in the head that those teams are not bigger than them. So realistically, if a bigger club came in, which they currently still are, most of those players would take the opportunity.
Do you ever think football will hit a moment where the money is irrelevant? That for good, talented young players, they will look at Leicester, and even if Manchester United come in and go, actually, I've got a brilliant manager here who plays a really exciting brand of football. I love being part of this. It's a sort of club where you can genuinely make yourself a hero, where Manchester United, unless you're an absolute worldwide superstar, you're genuinely just another player. Or do you think actually that the prestige of Manchester United and an extra 40 grand is always going to make a big difference? 40 grand a week, obviously.
Yeah, I think football is almost a stage now where the money is kind of irrelevant to some extent, because players are earning so much that realistically, how much more of a better lifestyle will they have by earning that much more in their club? Is it going to change their lifestyle dramatically? Probably not, realistically. They're earning so much as it is. Are they going to be more extravagant? The chances are probably not. So it's more just the fact that the way that club is held, the esteem of the club they're going to. It's not. I don't think the money is much. It is a factor, but it's not as much as a factor. It's more about playing for what they perceive as a bigger club, or a club that's more likely to win competitions and championships going forward. And still, Leicester be deemed as one of those clubs that, like we said, will have a freaky season, that they go on and have an amazing and go on and win the league. But that's once in a blue moon. People don't see them as being a consistent performer, a consistent team in the top 4, and that could be dispelled. They could, if they manage to keep hold of the players they currently have, build on them, and keep hold of the manager, there's every chance that they could be a top 4 team for the next few seasons, especially with the way they're performing now.
Whenever you talk about Brendan Rodgers, one of the problems is that automatically you're somehow insulting Celtic by talking about Brendan Rodgers. So the first text in, of course, will be, Rodgers will be gone like a light if he's offered it. Are you saying Celtic are a small club, in brackets, idiot?
Yeah, but that's like I think he probably got quite frustrated at where Celtic was going and the limits to what he could do there. But I'm interested, Stephen, in terms of player movement, how much of it is kind of down to the advice of the agent and the negotiations of the agent, and how much is it down to like actually the wife and the girlfriend who may want to live in London rather than live in Leicester. And you know, I think sometimes we look on footballers as though they're living in a different world, whereas if it were somebody that had a normal job, it would be quite important where he actually lives. So it's like I prefer to live here than there. But like what's going on there, and I suppose how important is the agent as well?
Yeah. The agents are important, and it all depends on the type of agent the player has and how much of an influence they are on you as a person. Like, a lot of players are quite strong-willed and minded themselves. They wouldn't be in the profession if they weren't. So they're not easily led astray by someone who's trying to just dangle a carrot in front of them that's only going to benefit them. They'd have to look at both sides of it. But I think what will drive them the most would be not the location of the team, but realistically is going to be the prestige of the team. When it comes to the high-end stuff, if you're talking about a mid-table team, and you have an opportunity to come playing in London or probably playing in, say, Newcastle, where would you probably pick? I think most people probably pick London, just based on if you're a team that are similarly ranked. But if you're picking a team based on the top 4 or 5 teams that you can get into that bracket, you're picking those teams based on their stature, not because of their location. So that changes. But the agents do have an influence, and the problem with an agent is if they start turning a player's head, if they have an influence over there, if they're telling the player that they have an opportunity for them to go to a bigger club, or if they're going to double their wages, and if that's what drives the player, then that's going to have an issue then with his form, with the level of effort he puts in, and then it's going to cause some issues at the team he's playing at. Then they'll end up selling him because they feel like he's not fully committed to them.
Burnley and West Ham, two sides struggling for form at the moment. They're meeting at Turf Moor, and there's been a goal. Let's hear about it from Turf Moor from Adam Drury.
Burnley 1, West Ham 0, and Ashley Barnes has broken the deadlock in the 12th minute with Burnley's first attempt on goal. It came about from a corner which went onto the far post, headed across the goal by James Tarkowski, and there, 4 yards out from goal, was Ashley Barnes to poke it in first time. Keeper had no chance. It's Burnley 1, West Ham 0.
Kevin Conroy on Twitter says, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Leicester win the league more recently than Arsenal? Are currently in the top 4, and Arsenal don't spend money and are nowhere near the top 4. Why would Rodgers move?
It's the thing about Spurs and Arsenal. It's not as much as in terms of a brand. They have some that Leicester aren't even close to. Would he be assured, particularly in the Levy world, would he be assured of the money he would like to make changes? And I'm sure Pochettino's being. I mean, if you're a manager and you're kind of caught in a job where you're frustrated with what's going on ahead of you, Rodgers is probably content enough with how Leicester have looked after him. But I did make that point about
what's best for brand Brendan.
Well, there should be some loyalty left in the game.
There's no loyalty. There should be no loyalty. Why would there be loyalty?
Because, Leicester took Brendan Rodgers on at a time when, granted he did leave Celtic at a difficult time, but Leicester and Rodgers is working well together. And, how long is he in the job at this stage?
7 months or something.
So, should he... I did make this point about Neil Fenn as well earlier in the season. When Neil Fenn... I know it's different. Neil Fenn, ironically, was ex-Spurs, but... He left Longford in the middle of their playoff push to go to a club that had basically nothing left to play for the rest of the season.
Because it was a bigger job.
It was a bigger job. At least say, well, I'll join at the end of the season. He left Longford.
But the job mightn't be there at the end of the season.
But Longford had looked after him. Is there any loyalty at all?
Did Cork come out and say, do you know what, Neil, if you want to wait till the end of the season, here, keep those Longford lads happy?
But so was there any loyalty to Longford, who looked after him very well in the middle of a promotion push?
But he didn't need to be loyal. He did his job for Longford.
He did, and then he left.
But that is part of the risk of football. If Leicester lost their last 5 games, would Leicester turn around to Brendan Rodgers and go, do you know what, things aren't going well, but you left Celtic, who were brilliant. They were going for 10 in a row. You could have been in a hero. You threw all that to the side to come to Leicester, and we feel we should stick by you, even though things aren't going well. No. Well, that's football. That's sport. There is no such thing as loyalty at any level, and there can't be.
I don't know. Stephen's better placed to answer that. I think you're broadly right in the cynical world, but that's quite sad if that's the case.
Just the world.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's not just life in general. People are always trying to better themselves, and they work harder at an opportunity to create more opportunities. So you're playing to your best of your ability, and if you're at the top of a club, then that's as far as you can go. You've reached the highest echelon, so that's it. But if you're in a lower team and you can push yourself and make yourself a better player and produce great football that's going to create the interest of another team, the chances of you staying there are slim, because you want to move on to better. You want to get to the highest level you possibly can, and that's most people in most walks of life, regardless of what it is. Football, because it's so widely scrutinised, it probably looks like people aren't being loyal, but when it comes to it, it's all about trying to, in a short space of time, achieve as much as you possibly can, and that sounds terrible, But that's the reality of it. That's the nature of the world, is it? Regardless.
Yeah, like Brendan Rodgers has been sacked a couple of times in his career, so he's going to...
Where was Liverpool's loyalty to Brendan Rodgers after he brought them within a game of winning the league?
That's arguable as well.
Yeah. So I think that shapes your experience, you know. Johnny sometimes doesn't come into us on a Saturday. He has other decisions. You think what's best for you on a given week, you know? So like...
I would have sacked myself a long time ago.
Because arguably Celtic is a bigger club than Leicester. Well, they are a bigger club than Leicester on club basis, but they just can't offer the same that Leicester can offer. They can't offer the Premiership to him, which is where he wants to
Celtic
be.
Celtic are bigger team, but like playing in the Premier League at a club
no, there's no comparison.
It's not like saying that he's making that point.
It's just like, I know Celtic fans get angry at that and they're playing Europa League and all that, but I mean, I think
over from Stephen to make the same point he was making.
I think eventually in the SPL you're probably just going to get frustrated that you're not in the Premier League.
I think that's maybe what happened to them.
Exactly.
There's been a goal at St James's Park, Newcastle against Bournemouth. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 0, Bournemouth 1 in the away, and the deadlock has been broken by the away side. It was a beautifully worked corner from the left, and it was Harry Wilson who left his runner in the area to fire home a left foot shot into the bottom corner. Before that, the visitors had gone close with Ryan Fraser, who just cleared the crossbar. Newcastle have gone close with Willems at the other end, but it's the away side that take the lead. Newcastle 0, Bournemouth 1.
Yeah, Bournemouth absolutely flying. As it stands, they would be up to 5th in the Premier League table. And I guess you just have to look at somebody like Eddie Howe to understand why, if opportunities come up for Brendan Rodgers, you got to take them. Eddie Howe, Stephen, seems to have a 3-month spell every season where people feel he's next in line for one of the big jobs, and then because it's Bournemouth, because they don't have the depth of squad, they'll have a dip at some stage, and then he sort of falls out of the reckoning, and it still feels difficult to see Eddie Howe getting the Tottenham job or the Arsenal job, and in fact maybe the Leicester job.
Why is that, Nathan? Like, I know you're saying peaks and troughs, but like, what Bournemouth must have in terms of resources must be one of the least resourced team in the league. Is he actually the longest serving manager in the league now?
He would be now, yeah.
And which is one of the freshest face managers in the league. And I think, you know, I made this point during the week. I think a lot of boards generally have no idea what they're doing. How Eddie Howe has not been snapped up by I remember speaking to Shane Keegan did his pro license with Eddie Howe, or certainly he came across me. He said you'd be absolutely blown away by this character when you talk to him, and his manner, everything about him is just so good, and it's just astonishing he hasn't gotten a bigger job. I mean,
we're talking a lot here about big clubs, and it's such a sort of subjective title that we can put, because, again, like Celtic are a big club in one way, though Leicester City's revenue these days would be far greater than what Celtic have. And often when it comes to Eddie Howe, Stephen, the term big club comes up a lot. So when United were appointing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it was, he understands Manchester United, he understands the big club, where Eddie Howe doesn't. Do you think that's relevant? Because Manchester United clearly is this worldwide conglomerate that it's not as simple as going into Bournemouth every day. There's a lot of other pressures and a lot of other demands. I just wonder if it is as relevant when you have a world generally of directors of football and various different layers of management, that essentially now Eddie Howe would just be a head coach. Like, is it that big a step to suggest he could take over at a United, an Arsenal, a Spurs?
Well, I actually don't think it is. I think someone like Eddie Howe, who's proved himself time and time again in a league like the Premier League, and has done it, like I said, with probably the least amount of resources, with one of the thinnest squads, and like I said, and always has a spell where he pushes into the top 6 every season. They might drop away and they might be fighting relegation for a little bit, but they have peaks and troughs, but they tend to finish around the same every season. And for him not to be given those opportunities, considering how well he's done with the squad he's been dealing with and with the finances at his disposal, it doesn't make sense to me. And I can understand why the teams are saying there's someone that, like Solskjaer, has been around the club, he understands it, the big club mentality, which is fine in one sense. But what surely should come down to is the person's ability to win football matches in this division. And that Eddie Howe, if he had better resources, you would think logically it makes sense that if he has better stuff at his disposal, he could win more games and potentially be a winner.
I might be jumping the gun here, but I'd say Eddie Howe does have a bit of loyalty. You know, he's there? I'm just looking up here. He's there 10 years.
He went briefly.
Former player.
He left briefly to Burnley. It didn't work out, and then he went back.
Again, Johnny, no chance. You're telling me if Eddie Howe got offered...
if he got offered the Man United job, obviously he would take it.
Or if he got offered the Leicester job.
Any of the jobs you mentioned, I think he would probably leave, you know. And I think it's possible that he will. I think it's possible that he will get offered one of those jobs eventually once he keeps the level he is.
I'm surprised he wasn't offered the Newcastle job or something like that. Not to.
Oh yeah,
that's an interesting one though. Again, like, should you take the Newcastle job with the guy who's in charge? And I presume he's a good relationship with the Bournemouth board. And I think in
Bournemouth
fairness,
have Russian backers. Like Bournemouth aren't Bournemouth aren't little old Bournemouth. To be fair, I mean Bournemouth
are essentially bankrolling Liverpool. Let's not forget. Giving them 20 million every summer.
I can't remember who said to me lately though, if you're a young manager, his advice to a young manager was just make sure you get on with the chairman. That's the most important thing. Make sure you can trust the chairman, because otherwise you're entering a world of pain. And it's sad that. It's sad that Eddie Howe is the longest serving manager, because we live in a world now where fans call for the manager's heads and it's automatically thought this will improve the fortunes of the team, when statistically it makes virtually no difference.
Are you seriously having a debate about who the bigger club is between Arsenal, Leicester and Spurs? Arsenal have 13 league titles, Spurs and Leicester have 3 between them. If Arsenal call, Brendan comes. Simple.
But the definition of a big club is that it can change. I mean, are Man City a bigger club than Arsenal now? Well, they are. How many titles Man City won relative to Arsenal?
Even I saw
not as many. You know, Chelsea, go back 20 years in time, that can change. Spurs, Spurs' status now with the stadium and recent performances, I think there's only so much that your history can count for.
Greg Sloggett obviously joined Dundalk during the week, and he said, I've joined the biggest club in the country. Stephen Bradley said Shamrock Rovers is the biggest club in the country. Cork City might argue that they're the biggest club in the country.
It's like the use world class. It's an arbitrary sort of thing. Like, so you need a couple of world class players. Like, where is the threshold for that? Like, the big club thing can be used pretty quickly. Like, Newcastle are a big club. Sunderland are a big club. No one's going to pick Sunderland over Bournemouth.
The PFAI awards are on tonight, so a lot of the players will be there, relaxing, and maybe looking around for people who've said things during the season. So I just think now would be a good time for Johnny to get off the fence and tell us, Johnny, who are the biggest club in Irish football?
Oh no, this is not going to turn up now.
Shamrock Rovers probably, because of their history, the stadium they play in, the resources available to them. Like Dundalk must be the biggest achievers, coming from a town of around 35,000 people to have the success they've had. Cork City could have the biggest catchment of them all. Massive club with a huge support base, but probably historically, I don't know, I'd say Shamrock Rovers, but...
It can change. It can change from year on year. I was hoping Johnny actually stays at the awards this year. Having his display at the awards last year was remarkable. Extraordinary.
Remarkable.
Well, I'm doing
like
a bit
Jarvis Cocker at an awards ceremony back in the day.
Oh no,
not quite.
Doing a bit of social media for Air Sports Night, just mingling with a few of them.
So last year, anyway, Johnny was tasked with presenting. What was the award?
This story clearly won't be told.
What was
Nathan, you were presenting an award tonight, are you?
Apparently so.
Yeah,
well, let's just say Johnny was presenting an award, and the moment came, and it turned out that Johnny had been overcome by the emotion of the evening and decided to leave in a taxi instead of presenting the award.
Brian Cowan say after that morning interview, I was tired and emotional.
And did the person get the award?
No, they did.
Or did they just have to scrap the award?
No, someone else was.
The night was just ended there.
Someone else was told they were presenting an award at very late notice.
I'm assuming that the presenting of the award means you'd literally just hand the award over. You
don't give a pre-made speech.
You don't have to talk.
You pretty much have to walk up on stage, shake hands, and look respectable. And it's clearly that Johnny thought that some of those tasks would be beyond them at that stage.
In fairness, it must have been 7:30 at that stage.
That's hilarious. I think I've heard of people accepting an award on behalf of someone. I've never heard of someone presenting an award on behalf of someone.
Well, you might return the favour for me later on, Johnny. Mike in Sligo says, loyalty from Liverpool for Rodgers. Lads, Liverpool lost 6-1 in Gerrard's last game. Rodgers played Firmino left wing back. His goose was cooked at that stage, says Mike in Sligo.
Never forget.
Stoke.
Yeah, but that's that's what happens. But I don't think any of us is necessarily saying that they were wrong to sack him. I think we're more so saying that might explain why a person's character is shaped by experience and thinking, well, don't get too attached to anyone because they can screw you eventually.
Just playing devil's advocate and throwing out there as many options as we can.
Yeah.
Our football coverage is brought to you with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. Let's run through some of the Premier League games then. 4 of them taking place. The only one without a goal is in North London, where Spurs are at home against Sheffield United. Guy Swindles.
Spurs 0, Sheffield United 0. Sheffield United started brilliantly. A Norwood drive was just tipped over. Excellent work by Gazaniga.
and they've had several other opportunities. Spurs have gradually fought their way back into the game, and one Aurier cross looks as if it had Harry Kane's name all over it at the near post. Egan did well to just put him off. Slightly more even now, but United the better team. Spurs 0, Sheffield United 0.
Dave McGoldrick picked up what looked like at first possibly a dead leg, but actually was able to run it off.
Yeah.
And we're very much at that stage with the players coming into Dublin tonight and tomorrow ahead of the international break. We're a little bit worried. There is good news though in general in that Darren Randolph is back playing for Middlesbrough this afternoon. Elsewhere in the Championship, Preston, who are flying this season, 1-0 up against Huddersfield. Brentford are 1-0 up away at Wigan. Millwall lead Charlton by 1-0. It's Reading 1, Luton 0, and earlier Nottingham Forest beat Derby by 1-0. And Michael O'Neill, first game in charge of Stoke City. Stoke 1-0 up away against Barnsley. Sam Clucas with a very early goal in that. I was asking earlier on about the setup for Michael O'Neill, and we'll get into this a bit more after the ad break, but he's going to stay on with Northern Ireland as well. He's going to dual job for the qualifiers against Netherlands and Germany. He's going to come back
for the
playoffs, and if they qualify, is he going to?
Yes, that's the reports this morning from, and I was up in Belfast last night at the Linfield and Dock game, and that was certainly the chat up there that Michael O'Neill is the arch negotiator, and he's managed to get the best of both worlds here. I mean, I think Michael O'Neill will do well at Stoke. They're winning today, and I've no doubt I can't say I have no doubt, but I would expect them to be a success there. However, the average shelf life of the manager of the Championship is such that it also wouldn't be madly surprising if if things had changed with him by March and June. So he's got an insurance policy of his job.
He just goes. Actually, that's a very fair point. Northern Ireland can't appoint anybody, obviously.
No, they can't.
Is there a bit of loyalty there though, where he's saying, yeah, well, I've done so far with Northern Ireland, I don't want to abandon them now, and going into a job as big as Stoke relatively, Michael O'Neill still in many people's eyes would have a fair bit to prove in terms of his club career was.
Yeah,
it's not guaranteed to work out, but I'd say Michael O'Neill would have felt a little bit uneasy maybe at leaving Northern Ireland now, and I definitely think that has to be a factor.
Well, I think but it's an interesting one. I mean, he's on the biggest contract in Northern Ireland I've ever paid to a manager. I don't know.
Justifiably.
He's done excellent, and as a result, he's sort of earned the power to do what he wants to a degree. But I kind of wonder, is he going to be paid the full value of that contract if he's suddenly spending X amount of his time with Stoke, because his role was very broad up there. He wasn't just doing the job; he was given a role in overseeing like the overall development of the game. Sort of officially, unofficially. So
it does show as well, I guess, and we'll see how this develops, but trying to medium long-term plan in football is a risky business.
Yeah.
So Michael O'Neill saying right now, I will be back in March for the Nations League playoff. Like, if Stoke have suddenly lost 4 games in a row, imagine what the atmosphere there will be like if the manager says, by the way, lads, I'm off to manage Northern Ireland for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and they're in a relegation battle. So, the dynamic could change very quickly there. So he probably has to be sort of careful and diplomatically how he manages it. But it shows the regard in which that he's held with Northern Ireland, that he's able to do it. But you are right. I mean, there would be a view. I mean, back in the day, Laurie Sanchez, I remember, skipped out of Northern Ireland close to the end of a campaign when they were going well, and there was a sort of a mixed views whether he should have done it or not, and that was a clean break to go to Fulham.
He went to Fulham,
Yeah, I don't know, you weren't, no, that was before your time at Fulham,
just
Stephen,
before
was it?
me, yeah. But he brought a lot of Northern Ireland. He brought in Aaron Hughes and Chris Baird and stuff, didn't he? Because he'd been managing him at that time in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, but it didn't go well, and all of a sudden then he was gone and his stock had fallen. So it's sort of interesting. I think he will do well at Stoke, but let's just say he doesn't do well at Stoke and they decide to make a change again. Yeah. Can he go back to Northern Ireland and go, lads, I'll actually stick around for the next campaign as well too.
How much of
the stroke of genius from whoever negotiated for them. You should be giving him a call, because to be able to manage two teams and be in a position where if it doesn't work out for either of them, he probably has another job.
Yeah,
guaranteed is pretty remarkable. That doesn't happen.
How much of how much would it affect the players if your manager, you felt that the Northern Ireland players might feel, well, this isn't actually his main thing now, and he's coming over to us, but effectively he's gone back to Stoke. And is there a potential for Northern Ireland to regress as a consequence of this, do you think?
I don't think Northern Ireland will regress so much, just for the fact that internationals, he wouldn't have seen the players only in international break. He might have seen them in games and watched them. So in a sense of how much time he's going to spend with them, that's not going to change when it comes to Northern Ireland. It's Stoke, on the other hand, though. For instance, he's taken over now and there's an international break coming up. So is he going to go straight away with Northern Ireland, where this would be the best opportunity for him to have his players in the training ground, bar the ones that are going away on international duty, but to see take stock of who he has, the players that are being on the outskirts that he might like, and realise how good they are. So, you know, a good training week for them before, and they don't have any games, just to see what the feel of the place. But that, I presume, he's going to be taken away because he's going to be with Northern Ireland. So from that sense, I find that's a bit strange and hard. You know, from Stoke's point of view, it's not exactly going to be getting the best out of him early on.
What I just can't get my head around is this is reputedly the club that wanted Martin O'Neill a year ago, which to me was so baffling, and I couldn't make head nor tail of that. And now has gone for Michael O'Neill, which, like, literally, it's like chalk and cheese. The only thing they have in common is their name and the fact that they're from Northern Ireland. Like, Michael O'Neill is so tactically astute. Martin O'Neill was all about man management, and also was clearly probably his powers were on the wane, and how this board could think both of those were good ideas.
The story at that time, but see, the story around the Martin O'Neill saga, which was like January, whatever, almost 2 years ago now, was that actually there was the chairman at Stoke, the father, and then there was the son, and there was a difference between the two, that the father wanted Martin O'Neill, the old school. The son at the time wanted Quique Sanchez-Flores initially, and then there was like the CEO as well, and there was different opinions and different views. And I mean, there was suggestion that Tony Pulis could even be in the frame for going back, but I think that would have posed problems for the CEO because of how things broke before. So it's not as if there's just the Stoke board is just one, one unit that have suddenly had a conversion around the time
in 2 years. Yeah, which is a little bit worrying.
Around the time of Martin O'Neill, there was different views, and there isn't. I mean, I know what you're saying in the sense that they're two very different people, but actually, I still think like a sort of Irish-British appointment. I saw Michael O'Neill refer to himself as British, that's why I'm using that word. A 50-year-old coach is still a certain type. It will be like some Stoke fans haven't received it well, but they've received that as a not that exciting appointment relative to a 30-year-old coach from Europe, or like someone like Nathan Jones, who was the rising star with Luton, and it was that type of appointment. So Michael O'Neill has been viewed as more of a safe pair of hands, and Martin O'Neill would have been perceived as a safer pair of hands. We know the differences very well from maybe their different styles and what we've seen of them, but I don't know if Stoke fans would agree with you that this is chalk and cheese at all. I think they're actually seeing things as quite similar.
Well, Stephen, you're probably quite aware of that, because I think if we were sitting here on a Saturday afternoon having this conversation in a English radio studio, we would go and think Michael O'Neill is a massive risk, whereas Martin O'Neill would have been a very safe pair of hands.
Well, with Martin O'Neill, you knew it was going to fail, basically. With Michael O'Neill, it could go either way.
No, but he's talking about, well, the discussion in an English studio, as he said, would be just
Martin O'Neill is not revered, but he's held in high esteem because of what he's done in the game over here, whereas completely opposite with Michael O'Neill. He hasn't proved himself at this level at all.
He is a gamble.
It's a risk, but we know what he's capable of doing, and if you've met the man, if you've spoken to him, or you've seen him in action, you know that he's a very astute manager. Tactically, he's very good, and the way he had Northern Ireland playing, it was exceptional for the quality of players they had. So we wouldn't see it that much of a risk, even though it is. But over here in England, you're talking about it on TalkSport, and those people are dismissing it straight away.
Let's go to St Mary, see what's happening between Southampton and Everton. Alan Lewis.
Southampton 0, Everton 1, and the away side looking much the better of the two at the moment. Tom Davies with the opening goal after 4 minutes, heading home. Mason Holgate's flick on at the far post. Tosun almost made it 2, but headed Theo Walcott's pass over the bar. Davies and Walcott have also gone close themselves. Southampton have offered nothing going forward. A very patient build-up in front of a very impatient crowd. Southampton 0, Everton 1.
Yeah, Ralph Hasenhüttl will be under huge pressure if they lose that game. Just 2 wins in their last 16 matches for Southampton. At Turf Moor, it's Burnley against West Ham. Adam Drury.
Burnley 1, West Ham 0. The Hammers are really struggling to get a foothold in this match, and they've taken a huge blow just 20 minutes in when influential captain Mark Noble took an awkward knock and had to be subbed off. Burnley are managing this match pretty well, patiently waiting for the hosts to make a mistake before striking on the counter. Hendrick and Bardsley have come close to doubling their lead, and the way the Hammers are defending, it won't take long for that second goal to come. At Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, West Ham 0.
And to St James's Park, Newcastle against Bournemouth. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 0, Bournemouth 1. Harry Wilson's goal is the difference here. A move straight from the training ground. A smartly worked corner routine from the left, resulting in Wilson finding room to fire home. Soon after, Diego Rico almost doubled the lead. He made a run from left back and drilled an angle shot against the outside of the post. Willems has had a shot saved by Ramsdale at the other end, but it's Newcastle 0, Bournemouth 1.
It's just absolutely mad looking at the live Premier League table in terms of the hierarchy of clubs and
big clubs and small clubs.
Big clubs and small clubs. Like, what odds would you get on 11 or 12 games into the season as it is? Manchester United and Tottenham are behind Crystal Palace, Burnley, Brighton, Sheffield United, Bournemouth and Leicester. Unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. The clubs that could easily be in League One or Championship and nobody would notice any difference.
Well, and Manchester United supporters do text in to 53106. They're live on the show tomorrow. They're up against Brighton before Liverpool against Manchester City, which we will also talk about. But Tottenham, certainly a big surprise as to where they are right now. But from a Manchester United point of view, all of those teams you name, you could pick 2 or 3 midfielders who would be better than what Manchester United have in midfield.
I watched them against Bournemouth last week, and it was actually pathetic. I mean, the first 20 minutes Man United were good, but then it was quite grim. I know Bournemouth didn't go into the game in great form, but you know, you do wonder, does it matter about the stature of a club now in terms of the financial structuring? Because crowds, attendances aren't really that important. Bournemouth can get away with what do they have, like 12,000 attendance? And to see clubs like that, and Sheffield United, if they win today, could I think go up to 5th. It's just how you could make head nor tail of this table 5 years ago and predict that this could be the case. Just amazing.
Yeah, Sheffield United playing really well against Spurs, still scoreless. They've had chances, they hit the post and they very nearly went behind. I knew as I was saying it, something horrible was going to happen. Yeah. But it was put wrong, put wide, put wrong. Oh, you did it wrong. You should have scored.
You're doing a top of the table game tomorrow. You need to be better. You need to be better than you put it wrong.
You put it wrong. It was all wrong. All wrong though. That shot was all wrong. It went wide from a Tottenham point of view. So I'll say scoreless between Spurs and Sheffield United. We'll take a very quick break.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
Climate change. 2 little words with massive consequences. But science and technology can help us create solutions for a positive climate future. Science Week 2019 takes place from November 10th to 17th with a focus on climate action. And News Talk will be bringing you 2 special live shows in association with Science Foundation Ireland. The Moncrief Show will broadcast live from the Maritime Museum in Dunleary, Dublin on Tuesday, November 12th. And on Wednesday, November 13th, Future Proof with Jonathan McCrae will host a special climate action show in Trinity College's historic Botany Building. News Talk and Science Week 2019 in association with Science Foundation Ireland. For full details and to register for your free ticket for either show, go to newstalk.com/events.
Productive afternoons with Harvey Norman. Need more you time? Ask about our range of large capacity washing machines with quick wash functions in Harvey Norman today. Now, where's the remote?
Go, Harvey, go! Winning a prestigious motoring award can set expectations unreasonably high. Not so with the Peugeot Partner, International Van of the Year 2019. With up to 1,000 kg payload, impressive safety features like surround rear vision designed to eliminate blind spots, and Peugeot's unique iCockpit interior, the Partner more than delivers. Test drive the all-new Partner during the Peugeot Drive Time event, now on at your nearest Peugeot dealer, and ask about our flexible payment options. See Peugeot.ie for details.
I remember packing for my back operation, picking up my runners and wondering, when are you going to get a decent airing again? Turns out it's today. I still can't quite believe how fast it's been. The expert team in the Matter Private's robotic-assisted spinal surgery unit, the only one in the country, got me back on my 2 feet in no time. I'm Kieran, and I'm literally walking proof of the Matter Private making lives better. Together.
Take a leisurely stroll down Salt Hill Promenade and check out Sea Point Leisure, Galway's largest indoor family entertainment centre. Our amusement arcade is packed with games to keep the family entertained. And for grown-ups, Sea Point Leisure Casino has all the latest games, straight from Vegas. Oh, and don't forget Big Bingo, every Thursday to Monday. 10k jackpot available nightly. Sea Point Leisure. Find us on Facebook and near the roundabout on Salt Hill Promenade. Casino and bingo over 18s only. Visit gambleaware.ie.
If you could hear pain...
It might sound like this!
Or this. And it can make you feel like this. You can't hear pain, but you can hear the sound of pain relief. Panadol Extra is up to 30% more powerful than standard paracetamol, so it can treat tough pain, which means you can get back to being you.
Panadol. When pain is gone, life takes its place. Panadol Extra 500mg, 65mg soluble effervescent tablets. Contains paracetamol. Always read the label.
Swap dark nights for twinkling lights this winter with great value flights from Aer Lingus. Hop across to the UK and enjoy a weekend break in London or Birmingham from only $25.99 one way, including taxes and charges. Or enjoy other great European deals and stroll around a festive Milan or Madrid. Or feel the glow at the Christmas markets of Berlin. Smart bags a winter getaway. Smart flies Aer Lingus. Book now at aerlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
Over the last number of years, AIB have been working to build a more sustainable business. We have invested in wind energy projects, launched a €5 billion climate action fund, signed a low-carbon pledge, and yet it's still not enough. We will keep telling ourselves that every day. AIB alone is not the solution to climate change, but we're doing everything we can to be a part of it. AIB, we pledge to do more. Allied Irish Banks plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Throughout Europe, one name stands out for windows and doors: Ocnoplast. A perfect combination of elegance, style and modern technology, providing more features for windows than ever before. Expect more. Think Ocnoplast. Premium quality windows and doors. Dublin, Cork and Galway. Ocnoplast.ie. Visibly more.
The journey to Euro 2020 continues as the Republic of Ireland take on New Zealand in a 3 international friendly on November 14th at Aviva Stadium. Don't miss your last chance to see the boys in green before their crucial final European qualifier against Denmark. Tickets on sale now from only €20. The Republic of Ireland versus New Zealand, November 14th at Aviva Stadium. Kickoff 7:45. Get your tickets now at fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Take comfort in a Citroën van that works as hard as you.
And is designed so you enjoy the drive.
Take comfort in choice.
There's every size and style you need.
And take comfort in brilliant offers.
With a great range of scrappage incentives when you trade in your old van for a brand new Citroën.
Take comfort and take a test drive at your nearest Citroën dealer or find out more at citroen.ie.
Citroën. Business users only. Terms, conditions and eligibility criteria apply.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
Still City on the edge of the Liverpool penalty area, over on the far side. Sent back in. Aguero inside the area. Volleys it into the roof of the net. And Manchester City get their goal. And who else? He always does it in this game. Sergio Aguero, the poacher's finish, the close control, the volley, and Manchester City, 5 minutes before half-time, make the breakthrough. Brilliant from Aguero. Sané sends a cross in deep to the back post to Robertson. Robertson across and Liverpool have equalised. It's Roberto Firmino with the diving header from 2 yards out. The crossfield ball from Alexander-Arnold found Robertson bombing in free at the back post, and he knocked it across, and from a yard and a half out, Roberto Firmino bent down and headed in, and Liverpool have equalised at the Etihad Stadium. Roberto Firmino, it's 1-1.
Yeah, we've had some good games between Liverpool and Manchester City over the last couple of years, and tomorrow, I would expect, will be no different. It is live and exclusive here and Off the Ball. Myself and Stephen are going to be there. You're going to be there, Stephen?
actually cannot wait to. I'm so looking
Just
forward
confirming
to this
that.
game.
I just remembered I hadn't texted you to confirm.
He started off with actually I cannot, and it's like I cannot make it. And I was like,
Yeah, I cannot. Sorry about that, lads.
Sorry, lads, I'm not going.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's fine. No, it should be brilliant. We're going to talk more about that between 4 and 5. We'll also have Manchester United against Brighton, but there's been a goal between Newcastle and Bournemouth. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 1, Bournemouth 1, and it's an equaliser for the home side. It was a cross from the left-hand side put in by Sam Maximum, a beautiful cross, and up from the right-back position, an unlikely scorer, DeAndre Yedlin, with a flying header and putting things level here. There was a VAR check for offside, but the referee is happy. It's Newcastle 1, Bournemouth 1.
Like, we have proposed that all our reporters have the accent of... Like, we need some proper Scouse accents when it's Everton and Liverpool.
Goldsmith is definitely the favourite round the grounds reporter. Definitely, you just feel like you're there.
Like, the generic lads can all just report from the London clubs, unless we had a proper East End accent when it's West Ham.
Yeah, it's got a West Ham. That'd be top class.
Get Danny Dyer to do it for you.
Yeah, because then we wouldn't even need to say where we're going. You'd just be able to understand it from the accent.
Yeah, you should actually think about that.
Because well, the worry, of course, then is like, what's Stephen Goldsmith going to do when Newcastle get relegated? If Sunderland don't come up, if Middlesbrough don't come up.
Maybe he's a good impressionist. He can just go to Villa.
Maybe that's not his accent at all, is what I can say.
Yeah, he's actually from Essex.
Let's go to Turf Moor. I'm not quite sure what the accent should be here. Some sort of northern Manchester twang, sort of Coronation Street style, should it be?
You're in sticky territory here. You're getting into insulting territory here.
For Burnley against West Ham, Adam Drury.
Burnley 2, West Ham 0, and Chris Wood has doubled the hosts' lead only moments after he had a goal ruled out by VAR for offside. Dwight McNeil managed to rob Fabian Balbuena, ran down into the left-hand side, put into a cross into the box for Chris Wood, who smashed the ball hard past Jimenez, who got a hand to it, but he couldn't quite beat it away because of the power of the shot, and it went into the back of the net. It's Burnley 2, West Ham 0.
Neil pointing out that maybe the Burnley accent will be a sort of Kevin Kilbane type accent, because Burnley, Preston, not that far from each other.
Yeah, not a million miles away, actually, yeah, because of course, the Burnley... Blackburn, yeah, okay. I can see how that
You're going to go along with that. A tweet in from Kevin G. Conroy says, it drives me mad when Newcastle is described as a big club. They've won nothing of importance in their history. Aston Villa, as former European Cup winners, with several League and FA Cup wins, are a big club. I think we'd all agree that Villa are a big club.
Villa are a big club, yeah. Big stadium, huge support.
Don't have to compare with each other. You know, don't always have to be a
Is
what
there a
about
certain
really.
amount of, much as you say, much like world-class players, are there only is there a limit in English football to big clubs?
No, like Leeds are allowed to be. Are they allowed to be a big club? I think they are.
I think Leeds are a big club, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's based on their fan base. We're saying Newcastle a big club based on their fan base and their expectations, not based on what they've actually won, I think.
Exactly,
it's not really...
yeah.
It's like a top player and a top player. It's just such a thin line there, really, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know? Who's a bigger club, Nathan? Sligo Rovers or Galway United?
Oh, Sligo Rovers.
Which is, like, what an indictment on Galway. That's a town, 5 times that of Sligo or thereabouts. Is like, it is actually a smaller club.
I'd go as far to say Galway is a city and Sligo is a town.
That would be true. That would be very true.
Yeah.
But apparently Galway United have made a big signing.
Oh, yeah?
But, I'm just trying to find out who it is.
Stick with us for that kind of quality content across the afternoon.
By the end of the radio show, we will be a bigger club than Sligo.
Do you know who the signing is? Could you text us to 53106 before 5 o'clock? If the signing himself could actually...
The rumours are in the rumour mill. Big signing.
And if that signing happens to be travelling from Galway to Dublin this evening, let me know. I really need something brought up. That'd be absolutely
He'll be
brilliant.
travelling from Galway to Sligo to try and get a better club.
He thought he was going to sign for Galway United, but realised, nah, I thought this was the best club in the west of Ireland, but actually...
Who was the player that happened with that actually was brought to a club in England and then they didn't know which place they were being brought to? I have to, there's a famous signing of a player who just got sold an absolute pup and got to England and was like, I think it was a player who went to Middlesbrough back in the day. They ran that phase when Middlesbrough like went on a bit of a signing spree. It was definitely someone who was misled.
Well, Stephen, you mentioned there that if it was Newcastle or London, most players would choose London, even if it was a slightly smaller club in London, because of maybe you don't want to move to Newcastle. Did you ever have that decision? Did the geography of the place ever come into it for you?
I've had a couple of options. It was Stoke or Fulham, and you all know what I chose. And it wasn't location at the time. It was more the fact that Fulham were in the Europa League as well, so that was a huge big factor. They're in Europe, but there's an opportunity to play in a great competition, so that was more the factor. But again, the London and Stoke, if they were the two key factors, you probably would have picked London.
Now, the only thing with that is, and I don't want to say that Premier League footballers were poorly paid, but if you're a Premier League footballer in Stoke, you're absolutely minted. Like, you're top of the heap up there.
None of them none of the Stoke players actually
live in Manchester or Birmingham.
Or Liverpool.
But even still, whereas if you're in Fulham, I can't imagine you can live next door to the ground.
You live close enough.
See, I tempted them there. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Sorry?
I was tempting you there to reveal just how much you were getting paid when you were at Fulham. But if you could afford a place right beside, because even Michael Ballack, remember, was very upset by the cost and the price of apartments in London. That even on his, because I think he went to Bosman, didn't he, to Chelsea?
Yeah.
So he was on an absolute fortune. He couldn't buy a place. Couldn't buy a place in Chelsea. It was bloody frustrating.
But wasn't it Andrea Sharvin who joined Arsenal and didn't realise that the taxation situation in England was very different to Russia? So like the take-home pay was dramatically different. Didn't realise. Hang on, he agreed like a sort of a
120 grand a week contract,
a gross deal, and then suddenly realised after a couple of weeks, hang on, what the hell's going on with this?
Where's all the money? It would have been 50%. So you would have been thinking, what is this? They're probably just giving backhanders.
I think you had to negotiate a new deal. I think that was one of the things about McGeady when he was in Russia, that actually just the tax rate wasn't very high, so like his contract was worth sort of the equivalent rate in the Premier League or whatever would be double that almost. Right. You know what I mean? So I think our Shavin got caught out with that one. Yeah.
Lads, it was Diego Forlan signed for United instead of Borough. Player Dan was trying to think of.
There you go.
Diego Forlan.
I was actually trying to look it up there. Yeah.
Half-time whistles going around the grounds in the Premier League. First up, St Mary, Southampton against Everton. Alan Lewis.
Southampton 0, Everton 1. Boos ringing out at St Mary's. Tom Davis putting the visitors in front after just 4 minutes, heading home at the far post. Everton had plenty of chances to add to their tally. Davis, Walcott and Towson all going close. Southampton have offered very little going forward, and you can feel the home crowd is losing patience with their team with every minute that goes by. It's not 9-0, but it's very, very poor from Southampton. Half-time, Southampton 0, Everton 1.
Yeah, big 45 minutes coming up for Ralph Hasenhüttl there at St Mary's. Next up, it is Spurs against Sheffield United. Guy Swindles.
Spurs 0, Sheffield United 0. United have enjoyed the lion's share of this first half's best moments, starting with Norwood's drive, tipped over very well indeed by the Spurs keeper. After that, well, it turned into the show really of Lundstrom. Should have scored when put through by Stevens, and then hit the post. The bar still rattling as we speak. After that, Spurs did manage to get a half chance. Son setting up Lo Celso, but he put it wide. Spurs 0, Sheffield United 0.
He put it wrong, I think you'll find. Not he put it wide, he put it wrong. Jesus, Giovanni. So scoreless in that game. It is Burnley against West Ham at Turf Moor. Adam Drury.
Burnley hold a comfortable 2-0 lead over a lacklustre West Ham. They took the lead courtesy of an 11th minute strike by Ashley Barnes, who poked in from close range after a well-worked corner, and the second came in the 44th minute when Chris Wood, who'd earlier had a goal ruled out by VAR, powered the ball home inside the box. The Hammers have really struggled. They've lost their captain Noble to injury, they've lost their way in their approach, and if Manuel Pellegrini can't turn things around, they'll also lose the game. Half-time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 2, West Ham 0.
And at St James's Park, Newcastle against Bournemouth. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 1, Bournemouth 1. Two great goals here. First, Harry Wilson finished off a wonderful corner routine for the visitors, firing home left-footed to open the scoring. Not long before the break, Saint-Maximin put a crossover from the left and saw DeAndre Yedlin leave everybody standing with his run from right back to finish with a flying, diving header. Saint-Maximin should have levelled before that. He hit the bar from close range after dancing his way into the area. Good game this, half-time. Newcastle 1, Bournemouth 1.
Earlier, Christian Pulisic and Tammy Abraham scored second-half goals as Chelsea beat Crystal Palace 2-0. Leicester-Arsenal is the late game. In the Championship, Preston now 2-0 up against Huddersfield. Alan Brown with Preston's second goal. Queen's Park Rangers 2-1 up against Middlesbrough. Jonathan Woodgate going to be under big pressure there if it stays like that. Swansea 1-0 up away at Sheffield Wednesday. Brentford 1-0 up away at Wigan. Millwall are leading Charlton by a goal to nil. West Brom, the league leaders, are 1 up away at Hull. Stoke in Michael O'Neill's first game in charge, 2-0 up away at Barnsley. It's Reading 2, Luton 1-0. Leeds are 2-1 up against Blackburn and scoreless between Birmingham and Fulham. Nottingham Forest beat Derby County 1-0 in the first game of the day. 53106 is the text number, or you can get in touch. We're live on all our social media channels as always. Do leave a comment. We've Dan and Johnny in the studio. Stephen Kelly on the line as well. Chris in Drimna says Eddie Howe's a huge Everton fan and always said he would consider it if offered. Are Everton a big club? Is what we leave you with.
Does being a fan matter?
That was such a tiny link into the ads, John. Just a tiny link into the ads.
If being a fan matters, then there must be some loyalty.
Well, I thought, sorry, you were just going for a real sort of leave it out there, just existential question of does being a fan matter?
Doesn't matter if you wanted to
does
join a
being
club.
a fan matter?
That's actually a broader question.
So let's just leave it at that, Johnny. Does being a fan matter? Don't answer. We're going to go to ads.
Let's go and see and putting a different affectation on the word each time.
Does being a fan matter? Does being a fan matter?
Does being a fan matter?
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
Join that conversation. Text us on 53106. Texts cost 30 cents.
Frequency illusion. When you first notice something, then start to see it everywhere you go. Like electric scooters, or wireless headphones, or ankleless socks. Why are we talking about frequency illusion? Oh, no reason. By the way, Skoda have just launched their first compact SUV, the Kamiq. The Kamiq starts from only €21,300. The all-new Skoda Kamiq. You'll be seeing a lot more of it. Skoda. Simply clever. Price excludes delivery and related charges.
Your to-do list. It's always pretty chock-a-block. There's the things from yesterday you never got to yesterday, and the things for today you'll probably put off till tomorrow. But don't put off saving up to €597. Go direct to Energia and switch to Ireland's cheapest dual fuel bundle. For the biggest savings, the thing to do is to always go direct. Visit energia.ie. Energia, the power behind your savings. EAB €1,510 based on average annual usage. 12-month contract, discounted unit rates, standing charge, PSO levy and carbon tax, T's and C's and early termination fee apply. Valid from October 2019 and subject to change. Verification and T's and C's at energia.ie/EAB.
Throughout Europe, one name stands out for windows and doors: Ocnoplast. A perfect combination of elegance, style and modern technology, providing more features for windows than ever before. Expect more. Think Ocnoplast. Premium quality windows and doors. Dublin, Cork and Galway. Ocnoplast.ie. Visibly more.
'Tis the season to celebrate. The lights, the windows and the iLac. With great stores for all the family. Like Smiggle, The Works, TK Maxx, Flying Tiger, Debenhams and Argos. Bring them to the Santa experience. Come by car, bus, Dart or Lewis. And rediscover the iLac this Christmas.
Working on different projects.
Seeing my business grow.
Meeting new customers. Being your own boss can be great. We're here when it's not. If you're self-employed and become unemployed, you can now qualify for Job Seekers Benefit, which is good news if you need it. For more information, visit www.welfare.ie/self-employed. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Employment Affairs and Social Protection.
Every size business has cash flow challenges. Convert those challenges into sales and let Grenke help you grow your business through smart leasing investment. Do you know we finance IT hardware and software, factory and industrial machinery, telecoms and CCTV, medical and dental equipment, point of sale and retail equipment, office furniture, drones and so much more. And we can help you with invoice financing options to free up cash for your business. See Grenke.ie for your local office details. That's GRENKE.
What do you really want for Christmas? How about a brand new Nissan Qashqai? It could be yours, thanks to Dundeal's Christmas car giveaway. Simply search dundeal.ie for the new 2019 Nissan Qashqai with the gold Dundeal badge. Then make an inquiry on the car to enter the free draw to drive it home for Christmas. Dundeal, it's Ireland's largest car showroom in the palm of your hand.
Happy retirement, Maura. Actually, I'll be retiring next. What if I take out my pension fund in one lump sum? Or put it into something smart? And you're sure this horse is a winner?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe I should talk to someone about this.
If you're thinking about retiring, you've some important financial decisions to make. So no matter who your pension is with, ask your financial broker or advisor about retirement planning with Irish Life. A smart way to make the most of what you have and fully embrace your retirement. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Irish Life Assurance PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
We began our search for Ireland's greatest businesswomen some months ago, and now we've got our shortlist. The Image Businesswoman of the Year Award stretches across 9 categories, plus the overall Image Businesswoman of the Year. Join 1,000 of Ireland's key influencers on Monday, November the 25th at the Clayton Hotel, Burlington Road, as we announce the winners. The evening will include plenty of treats and surprises for all, as well as the great reveal. The Image Businesswoman of the Year Awards, sponsored by Liffey Valley, BMW, Samsung, Number 7, Kuehne Nagel and Queen's University. Details on image.ie.
Proudly supported by News Talk.
This is the sound of a Volkswagen master technician servicing your Volkswagen using their expertise, specialist tools and Volkswagen genuine parts. It all clicks perfectly together, making sure your Volkswagen stays a Volkswagen. Book a classic service from €169, including 1-year complimentary roadside assistance at volkswagenservice.ie and make sure it stays a Volkswagen. Terms and conditions apply.
Across Ireland. This is the IMRO Radio Awards Station of the Year. This is News Talk.
Good evening, I'm Tina Gates. The Labour Party leader says the debate about migration is being hijacked and exploited in a dangerous attempt to create division. Speaking ahead of today's National Labour Conference in Mullingar, Brendan Howland says there's a worrying increase in hate speech, intimidation and bullying.
People's fears, genuine fears that need to be addressed and explained, are being exploited by some for their own ends to store division. And I think that's a very dangerous path.
Social media is under the spotlight after 100 youths turned up in Cork last night to raid a sports store. The crowd, who were dressed in black and carrying masks, dispersed when Gardaí sent in the riot squad. But Sinn Féin's Justice spokesman Martin Kenny is deeply concerned that the potential heist could have been pre-planned.
Clearly, there needs to be a hard look taken at how these things are organised and can be organised. It's one of the issues that we need to be looking at from a point of view of how social media operates and the responsibility that social media platforms have if they're going to allow themselves to be used in this manner.
It's being claimed A&E waiting lists don't reveal the true scale of the problem in our hospitals. Fianna Fáil's James Brown says trolley lists don't include those who are waiting on chairs or on the floor of emergency departments.
Other people sleeping on floors, it's totally unacceptable. It's going into a very, very serious situation, but those numbers need to be included in the figures put together by the HSE.
And Met Éireann's warning people to be wary of flooding and road surface conditions in Louth. Cathal Nolan from the Midland Weather Channel says a yellow rainfall warning's in place for the county until 6 p.m, with a risk of hail and thunder too.
A band of very persistent rain has essentially got stuck over the area over the course of the day, and it's really expected to continue on and off for a time to come this evening. Can expect to see rainfall totals in the area possibly pushing above 30 millimetres in one or two places, possibly around Carlingford, across high ground. We do expect to see rainfall totals possibly approaching 50 millimetres of rain. So that certainly does bring with it the risk of some flooding in places.
That's it for now. All news updates are on our website. That's newstalk.com.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA, you can find our lowest car insurance price online, guaranteed.
There's a yellow rainfall warning for County Louth until 6 this evening. Elsewhere, scattered outbreaks of rain, some heavy across the north and east of Leinster, drier through inland areas with top temperatures of 6 to 10 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Duff and Heskey.
What does it mean to be a fan, Johnny?
Johnny's lost his train of thought.
Don't have the answer, really. Don't have the answer.
He bought us a bar of chocolate during the break, so we've been completely distracted by that.
You see, the great thing about Johnny is he clearly has very short-term memory.
Yeah.
So Dan McDonnell, being the generous soul he is, often goes out at the 4 o'clock news on a Saturday and buys now a Kit Kat. And so the first couple of weeks bought a Kit Kat and shared, it around. Everyone gets one finger of the Kit Kat. Yeah. Then he realised he wanted a full Kit Kat for himself, so he had to buy 2 Kit Kats. And Johnny just bought a bar of chocolate for everyone.
Everyone. It's a star bar for Johnny.
Now, the problem is there's not enough time during the news to eat the full bar of chocolate.
No.
Whereas at least when you're sharing it around, it's perfectly fine.
The main thing is we've completely lost the train of thought that we had.
No,
prior
and
to
the key thing is I never seem to have to buy the chocolate. I
No.
just sort of use some sort of presenter's professionalism. I can't leave the studio for that long to go to the vending machine.
When you routinely leave the
You
studio.
know, like modern technology is brilliant for lots of ways. Is the worst invention of all time, though, vending machines that take debit cards? Without question.
Why is it the worst invention of all time?
Because the one thing with the vending machine was, at least I used to never have change, so I'd have an excuse. You know, you get that pang of hunger around the office, and you're like, if only I had.
You have a chocolate.
If only I had a euro.
Like a sumpter
clearly.
in Father Ted. It's like, oh no, Nathan's at the vending machine again, just patching his card up to it. Surrounded by whisper goals. He just can't escape.
Actually, they've got very modern, because I went earlier.
You went earlier. How many times?
Earlier.
How many times have you eaten
to get
from
one
the
of those
vending
nice
machine
fulfill bars, which are it's like essentially eating fruit, and it didn't come out. But they're so modern now. It came up and said, "Apologies about that. We're going to refund you your money."
Oh, so you didn't
That
just
didn't stop me shaking it like crazy. It said, "Well, get the money back and then get the free one afterwards."
the bonus one,
Anyways, we've definitely lost our train of thought.
Does being a fan matter? I mean, it does. But I mean, the emotional pull for like Eddie Howe going to Everton, you can imagine why it would exist. But I don't think that would stop him from making a cold business decision if needs be.
Daniel Story has just tweeted that he is off to see Leicester against Arsenal, where he has been told by 3 separate people that a poppy has been mown into the centre circle.
Oh my God.
Apparently, it has been painted so that centre circle is a poppy. It's not a circle, it's a poppy.
Did you see the footage from earlier on?
The Tranmere Rovers tribute.
Like I just find, and I respect people's right to, honour the dead and all this, but this is becoming, from a dispassionate perspective, where obviously I'll never be wearing a poppy, and I don't think anyone in this studio ever will be. It's becoming a bit of a joke at this stage. Like, what is the actual point of this, and what is football's relationship that you're almost obliged to, show your loyalty? Like Linfield, I think Linfield had a poppy on the jersey last night, and it's probably, I think Dundalk fans were energised by it.
Yeah, but I mean that was.
Why do you need to wear a poppy? Like,
I think Clontarf
are
are playing Institute in the Brandywell today. I don't think they were planning to, so people can apologise. Can use some common sense. I'm not sure if people would have seen this. I was going to say skit earlier on, apart from the fact that it actually happened in real life.
Well, but it also may not have happened today.
Was it last year?
It's talk that maybe it was actually last year that this happened, and for some reason it's only really come to life today.
It was like, I feel like November is like sometimes it's now becoming like the longest episode of Brass Eye. You've ever seen like the good old Chris Morris show, where it's a real satirical edge to what's the most ostentatious poppy thing we can do now. I was in England during the week, and there was like a train station that just had a poppy affixed to like the sign entering it. Now, the next train station wasn't wearing a poppy. So I'm wondering, like, was this
train station manager be getting angry letters?
There's going to be angry letters like from the previous station, and like how far do you go? Like, did the cannon salute before the game?
But like, there's obviously there's almost 2 different parts to this. There's the very serious part to it, which is the James McLean angle and people's right, if they don't want to wear the poppy, to not wear the poppy, and without fear that they're going to be abused roundly for it. And there's this other weird new side of clubs and the media having to come up with imaginative new ways. Like, who in the right mind thought?
Oh, this a knife. Like, you call this a poppy?
Yeah.
Like, and like here
Who
comes
in
the
the right mind
biggest
thought,
poppy.
you know what? Oh, what if people are looking at the centre circle and thinking, well, that doesn't look like a poppy. Like, who thought that? Miguel Delaney put a picture up from the Arsenal press room last week, and they had a poppy cake.
Yeah. Which would be surely disrespectful to chop into.
To be the first guy.
Yeah. And I mean, the Tranmere Rovers one was like basically it was a giant poppy mascot with sort of clown shoes being led onto the pitch by a minder. And as pointed out, the poppy wasn't wearing a poppy, which was disrespectful from the giant poppy that was walking onto the pitch.
But at a very basic level, like, do people understand why they're wearing this? They're honouring people who died in wars in which thousands and thousands, if not millions of people died up until maybe the First World War. What's their understanding of this? Why are they wearing it? And why, if somebody goes on the BBC tomorrow in a football show, is he or she more or less compelled to wear a poppy? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's meant to be dignified, I think. I mean, that's the thing, and it's just becoming very undignified.
Well, what football has done is undignify it.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, a poppy cake is not... That's not what it's about. Like, are people going to reflect while they chop into their poppy cake?
I assume the initial reason for the poppy was dual-fold, was to show that you are honouring those who served, but also to raise money
for the Legion.
Yes. For the Legion.
Yeah.
Which, okay, it's fine. But that suddenly it's some sort of weird promo. And maybe that's what they wanted to be.
It's becoming it's almost becoming celebratory now. Like it's more meant to, like it's a Remembrance Day. It's like to pause and reflect. And I don't know now, like where it's become a vehicle for like, as I said, an ostentatious show of, well, who cares the most here? You know, like it is, and we have the discussion around McLean every year, and I mean that is just nonsensical what he's subjected to around it. But just every year there is a sense of, like, what is the most grandiose gesture that we can make? Like, you know, where does it stop? Like where
does it stop?
An entire pitch. Not just the centre circle, just the entire pitch itself. Poppies across the football. Like, you know, there's the VAR. When the VAR thing comes up, does it need to have a poppy on it? Like, possibly it does. It's actually very disrespectful if the VAR sign comes up that doesn't have a little poppy on the...
Do you know on the bottom of the screen where they have like the...
So you're saying that joking, and I'm kind of wondering if that's actually something that will happen.
I'm beginning to think that, has this actually happened already?
Where they have the pint at the bottom of the screen for the pub, change it with a poppy, do you know?
Like, where does it go?
What do you do?
And the thing is, it is actually... It's becoming a bit of a piss take.
You're also...
And I think that, I mean, okay, it's a very Irish thing in particular that from outside we think it's absurd, but without getting too serious about it, it is getting caught up in this weird political system that exists in, state of affairs that exists in the UK at the moment, that now, like, people are being compelled to really to go with the extra mile.
It's like when they used to play the national anthem at the end of the disco, and if you didn't stand up, some local idiot would come around and smack you in the back of the head, drag you up by the ears.
Sorry, Mayo in the 90s must have been an interesting place. Like.
Why? They didn't play the national anthem at the end of the disco.
Johnny had gone home by then, to be fair. It's like an awards do.
Yeah.
Sorry, you've never been at a disco in Ireland where they've played the national anthem at the end of the night?
Really?
I think I have. I don't remember being chastised if you didn't observe it.
I remember now in Midas nightclub in Ballyhonus.
Midas nightclub.
If you didn't stand up...
The Midas touch.
The Midas nightclub in Ballyhonus.
Were you in the Midas nightclub in Ballyhonus?
I wasn't.
What a name.
It was legendary.
Is it still going?
No, fortunately not.
So many of these rural nightclubs, they've just gone the way of, you know, the post offices and the Garda stations.
It's just no young people, Johnny.
It's a spar now.
Yeah, it's a spar, yeah.
Not sure what it is. I think it's like a credit union or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's...
Did you ever get the shift in the Midas in Ballyhonus?
I'd like to talk about it, Johnny.
53106.
Not as often as I wanted.
53106, hashtag I was with Nathan. Yeah.
Please don't.
This is a lot better than talking about the bloody poppy, you know.
We'll come to Stephen Kelly.
Stephen Kelly's energised by this. It's like as if he was like...
I'm very much energised.
He's been to the Midas in Ballyhonus at some stage in the 90s, maybe.
What a name. The names these local nightclubs as well, like the Midas.
Then it changed to Monsoon.
What was the one that loaned? Bozos.
Bozos?
Yeah.
It was never there.
One of our divas says Shambles.
Shambles, appropriately enough. What was your local nightclub? It was probably some posh London nightclubs.
Probably Barcode if he was in Dublin or something, was it?
Yeah, well, usually where someone would have been at Barcode or...
Where's Barcode?
Queen's, you used to get at the Queen's.
Jesus, yeah.
Barcode's Clontarf direction, I think. Yeah, Quinn's is obviously Croke Park sort of staple.
Yeah. You were gone to England though by the time you would have been going to nightclubs.
Yeah, I never really got to frequent them. And then when I got home, I didn't get in, so it was terrible. And I used to come back and tried to get in every night when I was home from the age of 17. Was refused just in the back of my mum and dad's house. It was not very entertaining at all.
There was no do you know who I am or anything like that? No.
No, that's never been my style.
I tell you what, actually, you weren't wearing a poppy. That's what it was.
There's been a goal to St Mary, Southampton against Everton. Alan Lewis.
Southampton 1, Everton 1. The home side back on level terms. Sofiane Boufal on the right-hand side on as a second-half substitute with some really good play, some great trickery. Beamed the ball across the face of goal, and there was Danny Ings to tap home from close range. Southampton 1, Everton 1.
Let's go to... Well, we won't, because there's actually just been a goal between Spurs and Sheffield United, and Heung-min Son, of course, who we thought might be suspended for this game after his role in Andre Gomez breaking his ankle. Heung-min Son has scored for Spurs. 12 minutes into the second half. Close range finish from him. So Tottenham lead Sheffield United.
It was a Sheffield United assist, I think, actually. It was a bit of a cock-up because they've been playing very well, but I think, it was a bit of a defensive nightmare. We'll hear about it in due course.
There has been a goal, though, at Turf Moor. It is Burnley in action in this game. They're taking on West Ham United. Let's hear about it.
Burnley 3, West Ham 0, and an embarrassing own goal from the goalkeeper. Rodrigo has given the Clarets an unassailable lead. It came about from a corner which was whipped in towards the keeper. Ashley Barnes was standing slightly over him. Rodrigo went to punch it, and instead of punching it away from his goal, punched it into his own net. He claimed a foul. There was no touching him whatsoever. An embarrassment. Burnley 3, West Ham 0.
Get it out of your system now, lads. This was a shocker of a goal. This was a shocker of a goal from the Irish players. Enda Stevens and John Egan very much at fault. Enda Stevens inside his own area, under pressure, a lot of Tottenham forwards pressing forward, and he just tried to play a simple little ball back to John Egan where really it was too risky.
Miscommunication.
Egan had just stepped forward as Stevens played the ball back, and that allowed Heung-min Son to pounce and put Tottenham in front.
It was lucky, a bit of a fortunate deflection on the shot as well. It was just a really, nasty one. But Stevens, the body language of Stevens afterwards suggested that he might be taking the.
He was definitely taking
the brunt of the blame for it. Yeah.
The thing with the Poppy is like the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry wouldn't sing Happy Birthday.
Yes.
I don't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, Curb Your Enthusiasm is, it's sort of Curb Your Enthusiasm. The awkward humour of Curb Your Enthusiasm would sort of fit in perfectly with some of the Poppy.
Where did you stand on the Poppy, Stephen? Was it just something that was put on the jersey and you put it on?
Yeah, like I wouldn't be as forthcoming as McLean would have been not to wear it. It was just one of those things. It was put on the jersey, I wore and got on with it. I didn't see it as being disrespectful or anything. My granddad fought in both world wars, so it was kind of okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, for the English Army. It was more. I understand why. In Ireland, we don't wear it because of all the troubles and what was happening with the British Army and stuff like that. So it's from that sense. But when I was playing in England, I was playing for the team. I was just respecting what their wishes were, basically.
Well, I don't know if that's the most appropriate timing of all time.
Let's take a moment to remember.
Yeah.
I'll apologise straight up, Stephen. That's enough.
I think we've abused the Poppy there. We've actually forgotten all our fallen heroes.
See, that's probably the most eloquent contribution we've had to the Poppy debate. And it's like, okay, actually, Ireland, take stock. Take stock. There's a lot of people actually out there who can sort of empathise with that.
Absolutely.
Family connection. Let's pump through.
Play an iconic tune from World Cup 1990.
What next? Behind the wire. Martin Brennan comes storming into the room. We may need to rethink this slot, I think, in the future.
I've just got a lot of smiley faces in one of my groups. So clearly listening. Welcome along, Frenchie.
So we've played that, even though there is a VAR review.
But no Poppy on the VAR review as well.
It was actually James's Park, actually. Sorry. So we're watching one game, but there's been an Irish score at St James's Park. Newcastle against Bournemouth. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 2, Bournemouth 1, and the home side have turned this game around. Bournemouth failed to clear their lines, and as the ball was helped back into the area, it was scrambled home by Kieran Clark, who was up from the back. A scrappy finish, but the majority of people here don't care. It's Newcastle 2, Bournemouth 1.
He's on. I think.
So Kieran Clark scored there. That's 2 for Kieran Clark now.
Yeah, he's prolific. I think we've sort of ruined that there might be another.
There might be another Irish goal. Dave McGoldrick scored for Sheffield United, but we're having one of these nonsensical offsides that is millimetres. It is the ball before the pass for David McGoldrick, and they are looking at it VAR, and it looks as though he may be a millimetre offside. The knee of the Spurs defender is back, but the tips of the toes of the Sheffield United winger might be in front of the line, so we're just waiting to see.
This is earlier to use American football. This is earlier in the play. This is well back in the build-up. Because actually the goal itself, Enda Stevens put in a terrific ball, sort of atoning for his previous error, and McGoldrick slotted it away.
This is
in the build-up.
This is horrible. If
this is not what it's for.
Yeah.
Sorry, lads, just pause for a second. Stephen, if you could repeat everything you just said a couple of minutes ago, because that was really good.
Yeah.
And we could have had a really smart conversation for 5 or 6 minutes. Sorry about ruining that on you there. And certainly no offence was meant. Please come to Anfield tomorrow for the game still.
Yeah, I cannot attend.
I cannot attend. Let's move on from the Poppy conversation.
How long is this going on for now? Like, this must be about 90 seconds, maybe?
Well, it must be at least. And is he going to disallow the goal?
This is
He's
horrible.
disallowed the goal.
How can you even, like, that's VAR at its absolute worst, I think. Granted, he was marginally offside. I don't think you would have spotted it in normal play. And again, you know, you're talking about the actual moment the ball even touched the passer's foot. It's not actually the goal. It was vaguely in the build-up to the goal. I think that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. And we had the music for nothing, as it turned out.
No, we did. We had it. Clark scored.
But I thought, were we not doing it for this goal?
No.
Though? Oh, it was for Clark. All right.
No.
Clark scored, like, that's 2 in 2 weeks.
He did.
I was wrapped up in...
Sometimes, John, I just wonder whether you're actually here.
I was wrapped up in that VAR decision, because I think that's VAR at its absolute worst.
That is actually...
Speaking of Ireland, so Thursday night there is the friendly against New Zealand, and then Monday week, Stephen, obviously it is the big game against Denmark.
Yep.
Kieran Clark is back in the squad. Robbie Brady is back in the squad. Mick McCarthy in Switzerland went with 3 at the back. It didn't work. He very quickly reverted. But when you look at the players that he has at his disposal right now, like Kieran Clark playing at a back 3 at Newcastle, do you think there's any possibility on home soil he sticks with 3 at the back from the start against Denmark?
No, I don't think so. I think he's probably been burnt by the way it went against Switzerland, and he probably hold Denmark on the same sort of level as Switzerland in their passing in midfield and how well they keep the ball. So I don't think he'd be comfortable going with it. It would probably make sense with the players we have and the way they play at their clubs, because they'd be very suited to them. But I just think that he'd be feeling a little bit tentative if he was to go with that again. He'd have a bit more time to work on it now, and theoretically he could try it in the New Zealand game and see what happens. But I doubt that's going to happen. I think he's going to stick with what he's known and what before has worked up to this point, which would be the 4 with one sitting in front and then it's lone striker and McGoldrick. So I think that's what I go with.
So are we actually back down to where we were midway through this campaign, where really there's only one position up for grabs in this team, which is the spot on the right side of a front 3?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Mick McCarthy has said definitively he won't be playing that system again, so that's not even a debate. He said that at the provisional squad announcement, that it will be the flat back 4. So I think probably so. I think, well, maybe he did drop Conor Harrahan for Switzerland, albeit it was slight change of system, and that wouldn't really have affected him. So, I mean, has Adam Brown done enough? Adam Brown has scored today, so there's possibly a debate there. McGoldrick will play, so there's probably a bit of a, where if Aaron Connolly does well, where does he play? He's probably, there's the Aaron Connolly, James McLean decision to be made. And then the right side, I mean, Robbie Brady is the player probably with the most to gain from the New Zealand match in terms of probably starting. Now I see Robbie Brady is on the bench today for Burnley, so he's got a certain amount of minutes under his belt, but not a huge amount of minutes under his belt. So that might be the relevance of that game. I mean, Callum O'Dowd did okay off the bench in Switzerland, and Callum Robinson. So they're the decision that he faces. I think that is the one thing, but maybe the Connolly-McLean thing as well too will be a decision to make.
It's not ideal to have to be kind of gambling on positions at this stage of the campaign, where he's just after experimenting with a system that he doesn't think worked, and we are slightly on a wing and a prayer here. You're just wondering, how can we actually win this game? What are we going to do regardless of who we pick? I think the one thing that has come to the fore is how much we have missed McGoldrick when he's not playing, though, and even watching him there, as a criminally disallowed goal, just that out ball that we didn't have in Switzerland. He's just so vital to that team.
How do we win that game against Denmark, Stephen? Is this a game where, I guess the best performance of the campaign so far was Georgia at home, where it felt like Ireland got on the ball, did a lot of the sort of things we would like to see Ireland do when they're playing at home? Do you expect that sort of performance, or is it actually you just hang on in there, pray to God for 70 minutes, and somehow, much like the Germany game, we nick a goal late on?
I feel if we sit back and just let them have the ball and just try to defend the numbers behind them, they'll just punish us. They'll grow into the game. They might get frustrated at times, but they've got such good quality and players that have done it to us before, and they know how to play. And Aviva's a big pitch, so it's hard to work a surface and work around it. But if we actually go out and try and pressurise them and use the 3 midfield to pressurise them, don't give them time and space. Get in their faces a bit more and limit them to making the options they have to make. They're under pressure to make them. They're rushed. It's not all going to be easy passing in front of us, trying to draw us out and create chances. So I think we have to just be quicker out of traps and put some more pressure on them on the pitch, and don't allow them just to keep pushing us back down the field. And then when we do have a try at some point to retain possession and not just keep giving it back to them, because you can't just be under wave of attack and then expect to not concede. You have to have some sort of sustained possession to try and get a foothold in the game and progress yourself.
But Stephen, like, if you've watched this whole campaign, where is that pressing you're talking about in midfield going to come from?
It's not been there. It's not been there, and that's what I'm looking at going. Like, regardless of our passing ability, which is obviously questioned at times, but I think we're better than what we actually give ourselves credit for. We're more capable of passing than what we actually do. But the ability to run around and press people, they all have that. So I don't know why, when we're playing against these teams that keep the ball better, we haven't got after them more. Like, at times the games we have, but we seem to then just get back into like two banks to try and protect ourselves, where if we actually got after them and put them under pressure, we're playing against good sides, but they're not amazing sides. They're not like the best sides in the world that even if when you pressurise them, they can still play their way out. There's still players that might give you the ball back and give us opportunities to get the ball back higher up the pitch, which would only benefit us.
I genuinely think our best chance in that game is to
play
yeah, short of praying, which, I mean, is right up there with the poppy in terms of anyway.
Whatever about the poppy, I'm fairly sure there is still some sort of blasphemy law.
Yeah, but I think we just have to basically defend, play a little bit on the break, sit back, try to hold what we have. We hold. Hopefully it's 0-0 with maybe 20 minutes to go. We're being very good from set pieces.
Johnny, you will go mad if Ireland do that.
How else are we going to win?
You will go
how else are we going to win?
You will sit here next Saturday and go, or the Saturday after, and say, I would have preferred to have lost the game than to have played that type of system.
We have to sit back. If we're going to take them on toe-to-toe, this stage of the campaign...
One step short of putting on a poppy by the end of the show. That's how much of a turnaround that is. Like, you don't want this.
I'm asking a simple question. How are we going to beat them?
I don't think we should try and play them at their game passing, but I think we can definitely put them under more pressure than what we have done in recent games.
Well, our midfield doesn't really press. Wheel's not able, and the other two don't seem to be able either.
Well, no, but the argument is that they did press against Georgia, albeit a lesser team, because McGoldrick held up the ball, so they're actually able to play a bit further up the pitch.
Yes.
And then they were able to
Georgia,
I know, but I'm just saying that's how it can be effective. But the one thing about this game is there is a slight psychology of the game that has to be a factor. And I don't know, Stephen, have you been in this situation where you need the draw, and Denmark only need to draw, and as much as they're a very good side with very good players, you just wonder at what point of the game, if it's level, does the Denmark needing a draw thing, I don't know, can it become a positive for Ireland in the sense that Denmark sort of try and sit it out? If you get
become complacent basically and don't push
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the argument sometimes is if it's clear cut, it's better. You know, you have to go and win the game, and you don't have to be sort of thinking about scenarios. It's a very straightforward scenario for Ireland. With Denmark, if the game is evenly poised, what do you do with 20 minutes to go?
Yeah, if it's evenly poised, they're hardly going to go all tilt out and try and go and win the game because they don't have to. So yeah, you're right that they're not going to. They wouldn't risk it. But then again, I don't think they don't strike me as the type of team that will just deviate from their plan of how they play football. I don't think they just want to sit back. They don't want to go all out attack either. They just try and have that sustained possession and cause us problems by dragging us into out positions, bring us into areas that we're not comfortable with, and getting the ball behind us and feeding Eriksson. Listen, Eriksson hasn't been playing to the best of his abilities by any stretch of imagination. He's been extremely low par for what he's capable of doing. So for him to be doing that on a weekly basis for Tottenham and then come in and be at the top levels for Denmark, players can't always do that. So I feel like we're in a better position to nullify him compared to where we were previously.
Yeah. Can I be massively optimistic here that if you look at Denmark's performances across the group, right, this is the massively optimistic slant, that Denmark were 3 down in Switzerland. So, I mean, they fell 3 behind. Now, they amazingly got 3 goals in 6 minutes. But they went to that game away from home and they did manage to fall 3 goals behind. So they have weaknesses. Against Ireland at home in June, they weren't amazingly good. In Georgia, they weren't great away. And against Switzerland, they got a great result, but their keeper was amazing, and they actually soaked up pressure and did Switzerland on the break. So like they haven't been sort of producing like controlled top-class displays throughout the group. In fact, they've actually got Heraida's still got a fair bit of criticism because they actually feel his teams don't play enough football at all. And that's actually been a bit of a talking point in a debate there. So like, they're not exactly, they haven't been sort of killing it. I think Switzerland are a better side than Denmark got 4 points off them, but late goals. So, there is hope there.
Congrats to Simon Varley from Headford in County Galway. You were the first to respond after Kieran Clark scored that goal for Newcastle United. The latest scores in the Premier League. Simon, you're going to get 2 tickets for Ireland against New Zealand on Thursday night. So Newcastle have come from behind to lead Bournemouth by 2-1. Burnley 3-0 up at home against West Ham. Still 1-1 between Southampton and Everton. And Spurs leading Sheffield United by 1-0. There's around 20 minutes left in all those games. A lot of texts coming in about VAR.
Just on Twitter, it's literally all the people are talking about, and it's 99.999% negative. And it's like, if this is what you wish for, this is basically where we're at. And I think Tommy Rooney put up something like 3.5 minutes, if that is the case.
3 minutes 47 seconds. Joe Tomlin has texted in to say this is the most ridiculous offside ever given. His boot was clearly in line with the Spurs defender's shoulder, and it took them 3 minutes 47 seconds to make the call. It wasn't even right.
When you think about what can happen in a short spell of time in football, Robbie Fowler's hat-trick against Arsenal was 4 minutes 35 seconds, I think. 3 minutes 40 seconds was spent giving the most ridiculous offside in an attack that actually preceded the one in which there was a very well-worked goal. Absolutely ridiculous.
Just on what Joe's saying there, the camera angle that they're using to show us on the television is slightly different to what they're doing. Now, this was certainly what they were trying to explain for Roberto Firmino's offside. So the camera angle is at an angle, whereas actually they have the technology that they're straightening it up, so you can actually see whether they're in line. So I think his foot probably was. But the key thing is that wasn't in that passage of play. And if you're a Spurs player headed the cross clear.
It's almost like an advantage, the end of the advantage, right? If you're a Spurs fan and you're watching Match of the Day tonight, is there one Spurs fan in the crowd who would have said that goal should have been disallowed? No Spurs fan would have thought there was a grievance.
But you've hit on something there, because no Spurs fan in the ground knows what actually happened.
That's the other thing.
So anybody who's at that game presumes that was given offside because David McGoldrick was offside, because all that comes up on the big screen is VAR decision. So being at the game, you're totally punished. There's a break for 3.5 minutes. You've no idea what's going on. The goal's disallowed, and it's because of an incident 8 passes before the ball actually went in the net, which is a huge problem. Put up on the big screen what you're showing, and at the very least then, at least people know what's happening. We need to take a quick break. The latest score is in the Premier League then. As I said, Burnley 3, West Ham 0. Newcastle 2-1 up against Bournemouth. It's Southampton 1, Everton 1, and Spurs 1-0 up against Sheffield United.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Web Summit is over for another year, but this week on Tech Talk, I'll take you inside the 2019 event. We'll hear from the Irish company facilitating mobile phone top-ups around the world. Could ride-sharing technology be the solution to commuter hell? And the 32-year-old CEO of Canva will explain how wanting to complete a college project has led to global success.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Thanks to mintplus.ie.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast now, or tune in this evening at 5.
On News Talk.
Exciting afternoons with Harvey Norman. Bring the cinema home with an ultra-high-definition smart TV and surround sound from Harvey Norman. The cinema experience with no queues and no trailers.
Go, Harvey, go!
At Audi, we create exceptional vehicles made for every kind of driver. It's driving technology designed for you. Experience the Audi made for you at the 2020 sales event today.
Visit Audi Centre, Bracken Road, Sandyford today to avail of our exclusive offers and test drive your future Audi.
So you've got my watch, my hat, my coat and my favourite rugby shirt. No. Let's call it even.
But sir, it's free.
What?
Your PRSI contribution entitles you to a free eye test at Specsavers and glasses from our €69 range.
I'd better put my clothes back on.
At Electric Ireland, we're all about real commitment.
Just like the Saturday sports chaperone who's battled through weather and traffic all season and driven further than a Kerry to Derry bus driver. It's why we keep giving our gas and electricity customers the 8.5% savings they get on day one, no matter how long they're with us. For real commitment, visit electricireland.ie. Electric Ireland. Smarter living. Estimated annual bill €1,736, based on average consumption, urban 24-hour, discounted unit rate, standing charge PSO levy and carbon tax, residential dual fuel direct debit and online billing. Terms and conditions apply. See electricireland.ie/EAB. Rates as of 9th of September 2019, subject to change.
What do you really want for Christmas? How about a brand new Nissan Qashqai? It could be yours, thanks to Dundeal's Christmas car giveaway. Simply search dundeal.ie for the new 2019 Nissan Qashqai with the gold Dundeal badge. Then make an inquiry on the car to enter the free draw to drive it home for Christmas. Dundeal. It's Ireland's largest car showroom in the palm of your hand.
When Mary O'Sullivan worked with Gay Byrne on The Late Late Show, she once expressed concerns about money. The next day, she found an envelope containing £300 on her desk. In this week's Sunday Independent, the real Gay Byrne by the people who knew him best. Warm up with a perfect shepherd's pie and Rachel Allen's autumn puddings and crumbles. Plus Niamh Horan on the last taboo in relationships. And there's €10 off for every reader at Dunn Stores. The Sunday Independent, the complete read. T's and C's apply.
The old dog food isn't all it's cracked up to be, let me tell you. I wouldn't mind, but this lot have saved themselves a right few quid by going online and getting the best possible price on AA car insurance. Surely they can afford a couple of goojons for yours truly. I don't have to have steak every day. Tuesdays and Thursdays is fine.
If you want the lowest AA car insurance price available, you'll find it online. Go to the AA.ie. Who's got clever car insurance? Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. AA Ireland Limited, trading as AA Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Working on different projects.
Seeing my business grow.
Meeting new customers. Being your own boss can be great. We're here when it's not. If you're self-employed and become unemployed, you can now qualify for Job Seekers Benefit, which is good news if you need it. For more information, visit www.welfare.ie/self-employed. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Employment Affairs and Social Protection.
Can I have a word in private? The Kildare Village private sale is now on. That means you can get an extra 20% off your favourite brands on top of the usual savings. To get that extra 20%, register at kildarevillage.com because it's a private sale. So get onto kildarevillage.com and then get into Kildare Village and enjoy. The private sale at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day. Terms and conditions apply.
We do it in the toilet, in the car, in bed. We do it from anywhere. We love online shopping. So if your business isn't online, you're missing out big time. Buy a .ie today from hostingireland.ie and get a website free for a year. So wherever your customers are, they'll always be able to find you. Get started at hostingireland.ie.
I'm 36. I'm a husband, a father, a manager. I live in the country. I work in the city. Shortly, I have the most important meeting of my life. But first, I think there's time to play. Just me and my Suzuki Vitara. Its amazing handling on and off-road means it's always fun to drive. Honestly, get down to your local Suzuki showroom today to find out more about the unmissable 201 offers on the Suzuki Vitara and across the entire Suzuki range.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
Welcome back to Saturdays Off the Ball. Nathan, Dan and Johnny in studio. Stephen Kelly on the line, and there's a lot going on in the Premier League, including a goal at St Mary. Southampton against Everton. Alan Lewis.
Southampton 1, Everton 2, and the away side have got themselves back in front. A wonderful cross from the right-hand side, and Richarlison at the far post, unmarked, was there to slide it home. Southampton 1, Everton 2.
Yeah, so Everton ahead for the second time in this game, and there has been a goal, and it has counted at Spurs Sheffield United. Guy Swindles.
Spurs 1, Sheffield United 1. And this time Sheffield United's equaliser does count, just because it was a fine cross from Baldock, or that's what we thought it was. But with Eric Dyer in the middle of the defence missing it and Basham up from the back, Also missing it for Sheffield United, although in a slightly offside position. Because they missed it and he wasn't interfering with play, then the Bulldogs strike counted. No more than United deserve. They'd seen another equaliser, in inverted commas, struck off after 4 minutes of VAR found Lundstrom's toe offside. Spurs 1, Sheffield United 1.
Elsewhere in the Premier League, Burnley leading West Ham by 3-0, and Newcastle from 1 down, 2-1 up at home against Bournemouth. Kieran Clark among the scorers there. Chelsea 2-0 winners against Palace earlier today. Leicester Arsenal is the late game. A lot of texts coming in, lads. The VAR saga has gone on for too long. In my opinion, the VAR system should only be used in a decision in regards to the ball crossing the line on the goal line and nothing else. Well, that's not even VAR. They have that technology.
If that goal that Sheffield United scored had been disallowed, I actually think it could be the watershed moment where people would be like, this is literally, we can't keep going on, because that would have been 2 goals. What happened was the goal scorer put in this cross that he sort of mishit, and it ended up kind of going all the way in, but one of the Sheffield United players who tried to make contact with the ball but failed looked to be very, very marginally offside. But if they did disallow 2 goals in such, tenuous circumstances in a game in which everyone will agree Sheffield United deserve at least a draw the way they played, I think people would just say, well, this enough is enough, we just can't go on with this nonsense.
From a purely selfish point of view, sorry Stephen, you might find this tomorrow, it has bloody ruined commentating on a game. Because you find yourself thinking there's no point getting excited when a goal goes in, because you think, in the last 2 matches I've covered, Adam Lallana scored late on, and whatever angle I was looking, I thought, it looked like he might have just been slightly offside. So you go, Lallana scored, maybe he hasn't, and they go to VAR, and it turns out he's very much onside. And then the Harry Kane goal for Spurs against Liverpool totally looked like, from first impression, you assumed Harry Kane was offside. So you're kind of going, Harry Kane scored, but there's definitely going to be VAR here because looked like he was in an offside position.
Yeah,
you're explaining it before.
The commentator, when it's tough, and it's that awkward silence.
So do you just commentate as if it's a goal every time?
I don't know, yeah.
Like you celebrate as if it's a goal? What are we going to do tomorrow?
Players sometimes aren't reacting because they think, this is going to be checked. Henderson scored against Tottenham, the winner, the other week, and he went off and celebrated. But then as he's jogging back towards the centre circle, you can see him looking over his shoulder the whole time thinking, is this going to be taken away from me? Have I scored the equaliser? And you're thinking, it's beyond the joke. But the time it's taken to get these decisions out, there should be like a stop clock or something saying, if it goes past a minute, it's obviously not clear and concise. It doesn't matter. It just stands. The decision that the ref makes.
But part of the problem for offside, and Stephen, you'll probably be aware of the pace the game is played at now. So forwards generally are doing the right thing. They're trying to be in line, but they're comparing their body to the person across the line from them. And if it turns out that their elbow is slightly come forward or their toe is a millimetre, there's nothing the forward can do about that. They want to play on the line. It's just makes the offside in particular. I know, and people felt the offside was the easiest because it's very straightforward. You're either offside or you're not.
But now offside is offside slowed down is massively complicated. I was getting sick of it because it's taken over every weekend, and I think that ultimately is the biggest problem that's driving people away. There's individual decisions that are annoying them. I know there was a couple of European ones during the week where VAR actually helped things out, and that can happen. But it's just the extent to which it's taken over most weekends. And I think it was Johnny Walters has been pushing this in a few, that if teams have the options to do a couple of challenges or something, where the onus isn't just on the lawmakers to stop everything, that the opposition team, if you're particularly aggrieved and the players are appealing for something, that they have the chance to do X amount of appeals or something.
That isn't an option.
But can you imagine how long that would be?
You'd have to do 2 though. You can only do
that would be ridiculous.
It'd be a limit though. You'd have to do 1 or 2. If you use it, you use it.
It's not an option though.
At this point, personally, I'd prefer to have a decision made wrong by a referee on the spot. I'd probably curse him out of it, to be honest, if I was on the pitch, and I wouldn't be like this, I suppose, chatting about it, but I'd be annoyed if it was happening. But if a person's on the spot and they make the wrong decision in that split second, and it's a human error, then you say, fair enough. When someone's making a wrong decision or they're nitpicking about something that's like a fraction of a millimetre wrong, that's just ruining football.
Yeah. I think what's most likely to happen, because I think the overall referees' rules mean the Premier League can't go solo and introduce like they have in other sports, in tennis, where, as you say, you get a certain amount of opportunities to question the decision. They don't use the monitor on the side of the pitch.
Yeah.
Which they felt, the reason they're not doing that is they felt it would slow things down. But actually, it's so slow now that the referee going over and having a quick look, I think it reassures everybody in the stadium as well. Because like, this thing of clear and obvious error, like, what does it mean? So the referee running over going, actually, that wasn't worse than I thought. I saw it, but actually it is worse than I thought. It's a penalty. Or actually, that's exactly what I saw.
It shouldn't take away from the fact that Spurs have been so poor in this game. And if anyone looks like they're going to get a winner, it's definitely Sheffield United, which I think would bring them up to 5th. It's astounding stuff really from them. And the Premier League, in terms of the big clubs and the so-called this and that, looks to be absolutely turned upside down at the moment. Like this,
Sheffield United are terrific, though.
It's absolutely terrific.
Sheffield United know what they are, and they've played a particular way for the last couple of years with their system, and they're actually very entertaining to watch, and they've played well against. Now, I mean, Spurs are obviously a diminished force this year, but against Liverpool, like against the sort of Chelsea, against the better teams, they've really performed well, and they'll probably be sick that they gave away just such a poor goal. And it's so easy for Spurs to get ahead because, as we speak now, Spurs are actually on the attack and have put together a pretty decent
crosses.
Still 1-1 in that game and a couple of minutes left. Let's go to the King Power Stadium, get the team news for Leicester against Arsenal. Derek Clark.
Leicester name an unchanged 11 from the side that beat Crystal Palace last Sunday. Meanwhile, it's 3 changes for Arsenal from the side that drew with Wolves last weekend. Out goes Ceballos, who's injured. Socrates and Tierney dropped to the bench. In comes Bellerin, Holding and Kolasinac. It's Leicester City against Arsenal.
Into the final minutes then, in the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Burnley 3, West Ham 0, Newcastle 2, Bournemouth 1, Everton 2-1 up away at Southampton, and still 1-1 between Spurs and Sheffield United. Ian Rossiter was in touch, Midas nightclub, drinking Tia Maria and milk after Galway United games.
That's Ian, ex-Galway United, of course, brother of...
See, Ballyhone is halfway between Galway United and Sligo Rovers. So we had a choice to make, Johnny. We had a choice
top
to
player,
make.
You made the choice to go with the smaller of the two clubs.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ian was unlucky with injury. What happened to you?
I thought you were suggesting Ian was unlucky with injury because he was having Tia Marie and milk and Midas after every match.
No, just more of a
Still no word in this Galway United transfer, Nathan.
We'll have to stay on, especially extended show.
Alan Murphy, your fellow Mayo man, where's the confirmation?
We'll see if we can get you that before 5 o'clock. It's what the nation's waiting on right now. Quick break.
Listen back to your favourite News Talk shows at newstalk.com and on the News Talk app.
Is this Nissan?
Yep.
Electrician. I'm here to look at the big electric switch.
It's an offer. It's not an actual switch.
What?
Switch to a 100% electric Nissan Leaf and you'll get a guaranteed minimum €3,000 scrappage on your old car.
Like me 95D there for a 201?
Yep, when you switch to a brand new 100% electric Nissan Leaf.
Right, you're on. Now, where's this big switch?
Let's take this again from the top. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Terms and conditions apply. Visit nissan.ie for more.
Happy retirement, Maura. Actually, I'll be retiring next. What if I take out my pension fund in one lump sum? Or put it into something smart?
And you're sure this horse is a winner?
Oh, yeah. Or maybe I should talk to someone about this.
If you're thinking about retiring, you've some important financial decisions to make. So no matter who your pension is with, ask your financial broker or advisor about retirement planning with Irish Life. A smart way to make the most of what you have and fully embrace your retirement. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Irish Life Assurance PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. So you've got my watch, my hat, my coat and my favourite rugby shirt. Let's call it even.
But sir, it's free.
What?
Your PRSI contribution entitles you to a free eye test at Specsavers and glasses from our €69 range.
I'd better put my clothes back on.
I'm Keith Sinnott, orthopaedic consultant. Bowel and bladder control, hand function, so feeding yourself, dangerous pressure sores. These, along with paralysis, are some of the consequences you don't think of when you think of spinal injuries. And a spinal injury is something you don't think of when you give a child a quad bike or scrambler. Quads and scramblers are heavy, dangerous pieces of machinery that can cause life-changing injuries and deaths. They aren't toys. So please, give a different, safer gift this Christmas. From the Road Safety Authority and An Garda Síochána.
Sky TV with Netflix and Sky Broadband too. Cue comedy, superheroes and more. Cue Netflix originals galore. Cue Sky Atlantic's drama showcase and watch at your own pace. With broadband up to 1 gigabit lightning fast speeds to sort out all your online needs. Get Sky TV, Netflix and Sky Broadband from €59 a month for 12 months. Search Sky 59 today. Offer ends Monday. Available in selected fibre areas. Set up fees, T's and C's apply.
This is Finny Aylon. She's got the right kind of energy for business.
I run Millish Bakery here in Bundoran. It's been hard work, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
Finn knows what it takes to make her business a success.
We're baking great food for brilliant people in a sustainable way.
And she has a vision for the future.
Our cakes are baked using 100% green electricity from SSE Electricity, which makes them taste all the sweeter.
Switch to the right kind of energy for business today at sseelectricity.com. SSE Electricity. This is Generation Green.
In the Irish Times weekend, the Anna Creedhill murder shocked Ireland, but holds lessons on the dangers of online bullying and pornography. Soccer writer Emmett Malone blows the whistle on his own experiences as a referee in underage football. And as part of Food Month at the Irish Times, Chef Nigel Slater talks food, happiness and meat-free meals. The Irish Times Weekend. Your weekends in good hands.
The Hamper Sweets and Treats scratch card from the National Lottery is back. It's packed with lots of great prizes with over €2 million in cash prizes to be won. There's €25,000 to be won instantly, over 100,000 boxes of Butler's chocolates, hundreds of shopping vouchers and hampers worth €500 each. Plus sent to the bonus draw with 5 prizes of €1,000, which must be won each week. Surprise yourself and pick up a Hamper Sweets and Treats scratch card in store today. Play responsibly, play for fun.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop.
Battery low.
Not on our watch. At Christmas, in real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. We're laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. In real life, you can browse with the most advanced search engine, your eyes. We heart in real life. Dundrum Town Centre.
The journey to Euro 2020 continues as the Republic of Ireland take on New Zealand in a 3 international friendly on November 14th at Aviva Stadium. Don't miss your last chance to see the boys in green before their crucial final European qualifier against Denmark. Tickets on sale now from only €20. The Republic of Ireland versus New Zealand, November 14th at Aviva Stadium. Kickoff 7:45. Get your tickets now at fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Nissan is back with the van that never gets old. Buy any 201 Nissan van and replace it with a new van every 3 years from just €49 per week ex-VAT with 3 years free motor tax and services. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Finance office for business users only. Finance is provided by AIB Leasing Limited by way of a leasing agreement. Allied Irish Banks PLC and AIB Leasing Limited, trading as AIB Finance and Leasing, are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Eligibility, lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. See nissan.ie.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
I have put up a little poll. Is VAR making you enjoy football more or less by watching it? What do you think the response is so far?
I'd say it's negative.
I'd say today it's less.
Yeah.
Even though obviously it's a kind of a biased poll because it's happening at a time when it's...
Yes, exactly, yeah.
In any way, it's basically 90-10. I'm enjoying it less, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
Which is an incredible result considering only 7 people replied. But
yeah.
Oh, wow.
50 odd or so.
Influencer.
It's an influencer.
Still 1-1 between Spurs and Sheffield United. Everton 2-1 up away at Southampton. Newcastle leading Bournemouth 2-1. Burnley 3-0 up against West Ham. Into injury time in all those games. What a start from Michael O'Neill. Stoke 4-2 up away against Barnsley. Preston leading Huddersfield by 3-1, and West Brom, the Championship leaders, 1-0 up away against Hull. Dan, journalising again today.
Yeah.
Very interesting story about the FAI.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a pretty sad story, to be honest, that it keeps coming to a degree. It's to do with the Football for All part of the FAI, which is basically the section of the FAI that provides football for players, primarily young players with a disability. So, the various teams of the amputee team, parachair football, blind, deaf, so on. And it's a story that the representative for Football for All on the FAI National Council went looking for some extra funding earlier this year, having been told verbally that the budget for distribution to their affiliates was around €70,000-80,000 per year. That's what it's been for the last 3-4 years. And, the decisions, I suppose, or discussions would take place accordingly. Met some inquiries at a government level about looking for extra funding for a mental health scheme. Would have spoken in the meetings about, well, we get X amount and so on, could we get some more? And long story short, found out via Francis Fitzgerald, who'd found out from Simon Harris, that actually the FAI, in discussions with Sport Ireland, had indicated that their budget for the Football for All programme per year was €212,000. So there's a big difference between 80,000.
And if the FAI explained,
the FAI, I've asked questions of the FAI. They haven't commented on it. There would be partly of the gap would be explained by there was wages for an employee who looked after that section. However, that employee has since left the FAI and hasn't been replaced. And the council representative sent a correspondence in March to people high up in the FAI in the midst of the crisis and said, can you please explain this discrepancy in figures? And we are now, 8 months on, and that clarity has not been provided. You would have thought if it was straightforward, it would have been provided in a quite straightforward manner. And yeah, this is a big unanswered question, and there are people from that sector owed money and fearing what the future may hold for them.
All right, that full story is in today's Irish Independent. Dan has all of that. And a full-time whistle is going around the grounds in the Premier League. First up to St Mary's, Ralph Hasenhüttl is under huge pressure. Southampton beaten again, this time by Everton. Alan Lewis.
Southampton 1, Everton 2, a huge win for Everton, but defeat that puts even more pressure at Southampton at the bottom of the league. Tom Davies put Everton ahead after just 4 minutes with a header at the far post. Southampton came out all guns blazing after half-time. Danny Ings equalising after some good work from Sofiane Boufal. But Everton recovered well, and Richarlison got them back in front after an excellent cross from Sidibe on the right-hand side. Iwobi had a couple of chances to make it 3-1. In truth, Southampton never looked like getting back on level terms for a second time. Their wait for a home league win this season goes on. A big 3 points for Marco Silva. Southampton 1, Everton 2.
Yeah, certainly is a big win for Everton. VAR very much at the centre of things between Spurs and Sheffield United. Guy Swindles.
Spurs 1, Sheffield United 1. Interesting game in many ways. Sheffield United much the best side in the first half. Lundstrom hit the post and missed a sitter, but Spurs took the lead through Son in the second half. Back came Sheffield United. Goal ruled out after 4 minutes of VAR from McGoldrick, unluckily, but eventually they did get what they deserved. Baldock's cross ending up in the back of the net to make it Spurs 1, Sheffield United 1.
Still playing in the other two 3 o'clock kickoffs. Newcastle leading Bournemouth by 2-1. Bournemouth had led in that game, but Newcastle turned it around. Kieran Clark among the scorers. And Burnley 3-0 up against West Ham United. Chelsea will have the full time actually from Turf Moor. Let's hear about that.
Burnley strolled to a comfortable 3-0 win over a shambolic West Ham side. Goals from Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood gave the Clarets a 2-0 lead at half-time, and then the third was an embarrassing own goal by Hammers keeper Roberto Jimenez, who punched a corner into his own net. Frankly, the Hammers were lucky to only concede 3, given Burnley had 2 goals overturned by VAR. It's a defeat that extends the Hammers' winless run to 6 league games, keeping pressure on Manuel Pellegrini. Full-time at Turf Moor, it finished Burnley 3, West Ham 0.
What about giving the referees poppy-shaped cards?
Yeah,
is a suggestion.
Yeah,
we shouldn't actually be laughing at it, but it is so ridiculous that is actually. It wouldn't amaze me if it happened. I mean, it's no more or less ridiculous than some of the images I've seen today.
We're back tomorrow from 1 o'clock through to 7. Live commentary of Liverpool against Manchester City. Myself and Stephen are going to be there. Possibly, Stephen.
Yeah, no, I'll still definitely be there. I wouldn't miss that one for the world.
All right.
Good.
And Manchester United, Brighton as well. Rob Daly and Brian Kerr from 2 o'clock. Joe's back in the hot seat tomorrow. The pay-per-view back on the radio from 1. David Sneyd and Cleena O'Connor will be on that. We're done, I think, lads.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Are you going to wear poppy down field tomorrow?
Maybe not this time. Maybe not this time. I may have to after today.
Are we all going to the PAI Awards?
We are. Will I make it to the stage to present my award?
I expect real. I just lastly, Daniel's story today. I don't think this has gotten nearly enough traction. It's without you don't exactly know what's going on here, but the implications of what is basically entailed from that story are seriously depressing.
Yeah. Without being flippant,
Johnny, we have to go.
Without being flippant, we had 2 hours and we're now finishing the show. But we will definitely come back to this, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more about it in the papers over the coming days. The Newcastle game is finished. They've beaten Bournemouth 2-1. We are off out. We'll see if Johnny stays long. We're done. Good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1. Tech Talk is up next. Good luck.